This is the harrowing vision of the world's final reckoning. On a shoreline stripped bare by time, upon a solitary, broken island, a man stands, a frail vessel awaiting the deluge of truth. The celestial prophecy commences. I, Enoch, found myself transported, my mortal frame weighed down by an unbearable weariness, crushed by the gravity of revelations too immense for human sanity to contain. Before the inexorable weight of the divine mystery, I utterly failed. I fell, shattered and helpless. Suddenly the firmament tore asunder. A luminescence, unlike the sun or any earthly fire, cascaded down. A primal, terrifying glory. Beings of pure energy, the holy angels, materialized in the blinding radiance. Abject terror and profound reverence gripped my soul simultaneously, overwhelming me entirely. The sheer effulgence was too brilliant for mortal eyes to tolerate. And in that moment of transcendent connection, Enoch the man ceased to be. Yet I survived. I am Enoch. These are the sacred utterances of the blessing placed upon my lips to deliver. A message not intended for the fleeting span of my own era, but reserved for a distant, unblemished generation yet to dawn. This message is specifically bequeathed to the chosen and the pure, those destined to endure the fierce furnace of future tribulation, when the utterly depraved and the willfully wicked are finally swept away from the face of the earth. I was recognized as a man of righteousness, and therefore God unlocked the gates of perception for me. What I convey now is not born of my own flawed imagination. I witnessed the awesome spectacle of the Holy One moving within the heavens. The angels unveiled these truths to me. From their celestial tongues, I absorbed every detail, and through their guidance, I began to grasp the enormity of what I beheld. Yet, these particular visions were definitively not for my current time. They were decreed for a far-off epoch, an age still steadily approaching its fulfillment. Thus, I raised my voice, speaking specifically about the destiny of the elect. I saw the sacred and immense being emerge from his sublime dwelling place. The eternal God descended, planting his mighty foot upon the earth, specifically resting upon Mount Si. He manifested in the absolute zenith of his formidable power, descending from the highest tier of heaven, and an unimaginable dread paralyzed all creation. The watchers themselves shook with fear, and a violent, deep tremor seized the outermost bounds of the world. The towering mountains were violently ripped asunder. The elevated hills crumbled into dust. They dissolved like soft wax exposed to an all-consuming flame. The very crust of the earth fractured wide open. Everything existing upon it was laid bare, revealed utterly. Nothing could remain concealed from his gaze. Judgment was executed upon every single entity. Nevertheless, with the righteous, he established an unbroken peace. He enveloped the elect in protection. Unmerited mercy settled upon them like a mantle. They were claimed by God as his own, and God acknowledged their ownership. They flourished under his sight. They were recipients of profound blessing. A perfect light pierced their surrounding darkness, and the Holy One ratified an eternal covenant of peace with them. Then, I witnessed the climactic event. He arrived, escorted by 10,000 times 10,000 of his consecrated beings, to execute the final judgment across the globe, to annihilate the impious, and to hold every mortal being accountable for every single act of calculated wickedness they had perpetuated, and for every insolent, defiant utterance ever launched against his majesty. This is the profound narrative I observed. This is what was irrevocably shown to me, and this is the inevitable future that is still to unfold. The unfolding of the created order. I was granted insight into the immaculate mechanism of creation and instructed simply to observe. I directed my gaze skyward into the ethereal vaults and watched how every celestial body executes its movement with faultless, rhythmic precision. The stars never deviate from their orbits. The great luminaries, the sun and moon, rise and set according to their perfectly designated seasons. Not one single entity breaks its established course. None trespass the specific path allocated to them. Then I turned my attention to the terrestrial sphere. From its genesis to its destined conclusion, I observed the processes unfolding upon it. They remain absolutely unwavering. Nothing on the earth changes its divine mandate. All the magnificent works of God stand before you, serving as an immutable, silent testimony. I carefully watched the progression of the seasons, from the deep slumber of winter to the vitality of summer. I saw the earth replenished by waters and the formation of the heavy, moisture-laden clouds above it. Dew and restorative rain covered the ground exactly when they were prescribed to appear. I noted the winter period when the trees appeared utterly devoid of life, stripped down to their bare branches. Yet, there are specific species that retain their greenery, clinging to their old leaves for years until the fresh growth emerges in its proper season. And again, I watched the scorching days of summer. The sun stood fiercely high above the earth, blazing with unstoppable power. Mortals instinctively sought shade and any refuge they could find from its inferno. The very ground scorched underfoot, and even solid rock could not be touched because of the searing solar heat. I saw how the trees once again adorned themselves in vivid green, how they bore their fruit bountifully in their appointed season. And I understood a fundamental truth. Every single creation adheres strictly to the command of the one who exists eternally. Nothing is without profound intention. Nothing lacks perfect design. Year following year, his monumental works persist, utterly unchanged. They do not falter. They do not dare to rebel. They execute precisely what they were ordained to accomplish. I observed the vast seas and the flowing rivers as well. They respect their prescribed borders. They flawlessly fulfill their duties and never deviate from his spoken command. But then, I was presented with a contrasting vision. I was shown mankind. You were incapable of steadfastness. You neglected to uphold the sacred decrees of the Lord. You willingly turned away. You hurled arrogant and defiant pronouncements against his incomparable greatness. Your mouths became sources of defilement. Your hearts hardened into stone. Because of this monumental failure, you shall never know peace. Your days shall be cursed with bitterness, and the years of your lives will rapidly waste away. Your ultimate destruction shall be eternally remembered as a permanent warning, and mercy will entirely fail to find you. Your very names shall become a potent curse word among the righteous. Those who utter curses will invoke your names as a terrible sign of coming judgment. The godless will be judged by the identical fate of ruin they themselves chose. Yet, I also perceived the glorious culmination of this saga. The righteous shall surely rejoice. Forgiveness, like a mighty river, will be poured out upon them. Mercy, profound peace, and enduring patience will envelop them completely. Salvation will be their inheritance, and a magnificent light will descend and rest permanently upon them. For the relentless sinners, however, there will be no chance of rescue. The curse shall cling to them forever. But for the elect, there will be clarity, boundless joy, and unshakable peace. They shall inherit the cleansed earth. Wisdom, formerly denied, will be freely bestowed upon them. They will live lives free from the stain of sin, never again falling through reckless pride or outright defiance. Those who attain true wisdom will walk in profound humility. They will never again transgress the boundaries. They will not dwell in corrosive anger or wrath. Their allotted days will be completed in serenity, and their lives will be flooded with joy. Their years shall multiply into an everlasting cycle of peace and exuberant gladness for the entirety of their existence. The catastrophe of the fallen angels. I was granted the terrifying account of how the moral collapse began. When the offspring of men began to increase upon the face of the earth, they bore daughters who were exceptionally beautiful and powerfully desirable. The angels, the heavenly sons of God, observed them. Unholy desire seized their immortal hearts, and they exchanged forbidden words among themselves, resolving to choose human wives and beget children of their own kind. But their designated leader, Samjaza, was struck by hesitation. I heard the tremor of dread in his declaration. He recognized the monumental gravity of the transgression they were contemplating. He cautioned them that this sacrilege would incur a punishment of unimaginable magnitude, and that he alone might be forced to bear the full weight of the ensuing wrath. In response, they met his fear with resolute determination. They swore a binding oath together, sealing their pact with mutual curses, each member solemnly pledging never to abandon the catastrophic plan, regardless of the eternal cost. There were 200 of them. They descended in the era of Jared upon the jagged summit of Mount Hermon. That mountain was subsequently named Hermon because it was there they performed their damning ritual, binding themselves eternally by mutual imprecations. I was shown their hierarchy, their leaders and the captains among them. Samjaza was positioned first. Alongside him stood others, rulers who commanded groups of 10, each controlling his following subordinates. Their names were meticulously recorded, for the heavens never permit rebellion to be forgotten. Every one of them seized a wife from among the daughters of men. They profoundly defiled their spiritual natures, and in turn, they instructed humanity in forbidden sciences, charms, occult enchantments, the esoteric practice of root cutting, and the hidden, volatile properties of plants. The women became pregnant, and they gave birth to Nephilim, monstrous giants, beings of colossal size and formidable, terrifying strength. These creatures ruthlessly consumed everything that mankind produced. When the human population could no longer sustain their ravenous appetites, the giants savagely turned upon humanity itself. I witnessed them devouring men. They committed further sins against the birds and the wild beasts, against the creeping things, and the fish of the sea. They consumed flesh specifically not meant for consumption. They drank the vital blood. Rampant, unmitigated violence saturated the earth, and the earth itself cried out, accusing the lawless perpetrators. I was shown precisely how knowledge itself became the agent of corruption. Azazel instructed mankind on how to forge instruments of warfare, swords and keen knives, defensive shields, and protective armor. He disclosed the dense metals concealed within the earth and the requisite skill to shape them into deadly forms. He also initiated the creation of luxurious ornaments and jewelry, the use of pigmented cosmetics, the artificial beautification of the eyes, and the insatiable desire for rare stones and vivid colors, and wickedness spiraled exponentially. Men shed all pretense of moral restraint. They were led astray into fundamental error. They became thoroughly corrupted in every conceivable path of their existence. Other watchers transmitted secrets never intended for the minds of mortals. Samjaza instructed them in powerful enchantments and the precise cutting of roots for magical effect. Eros revealed methods for nullifying malignant spells. Barakiha taught the intricate movements of the stars. Kokabel exposed the secrets of the constellations. Ezekiel deciphered the esoteric knowledge of the clouds. Arakiel instructed concerning the signs embedded in the earth. Shamsiel disclosed the trajectories of the sun. Sariel laid bare the cryptic course of the moon. Knowledge proliferated at an alarming rate, but genuine wisdom utterly vanished. As men perished under this violence, they cried out in anguish. Their sorrowful voices ascended from the earth directly to the lofty heavens, and their desperate plea was finally heard. This is the sequence of events I was shown. This is the genesis of the world's deep-seated corruption. The holy intervention of the archangels. I was given a privileged glimpse into the events unfolding in the celestial court when the suffering earth could no longer contain its agonizing pain. Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, the four holy ones, gazed down from their high stations. They perceived the indiscriminate blood staining the ground beneath. They watched lawlessness proliferating across the earth without any check or boundary. They conferred among themselves, stating that the very earth, once fashioned for harmonious life, now shrieked with the collective voices of the violently slain, their cries surging directly to the thresholds of heaven. The souls of executed men were making a solemn appeal, demanding that their plea for justice be presented immediately before the Most High. Then, the consecrated angels raised their unified voices before the Lord of the ages. They pronounced, "Lord of lords, God of gods, King of kings, your majestic throne endures throughout all succeeding generations. Your name is eternally holy, gloriously revealed, and blessed forevermore. You are the originator of all things. Absolute dominion over all things resides only with you. Nothing is ever obscured from your all-seeing sight." They formally stated what heaven already knew. that Azazel had successfully scattered unrighteousness across the face of the world, divulging heavenly secrets that were meant to be guarded. Profound knowledge never intended for human reception. They spoke specifically of Samjaza, who had been granted authority over his cohorts, yet willfully led them into open revolt. They testified that these angels descended, consorted with the daughters of men, polluted themselves, and transmitted the knowledge of sin. The women bore the abominable giants, and consequently, the earth was glutted with gore and moral corruption. And now, the tormented souls of the dead cried out ceaselessly due to the monstrous violence that covered the entire world. The archangels inquired as to why these horrors were permitted and what definitive action was to be taken. Then the Most High delivered his verdict. The Holy and Great One dispatched Uriel to the son of Lamech, saying, "Go forth to Noah, instruct him to conceal himself, reveal to him the imminent end, that a catastrophic flood will utterly purge the earth. Provide him with detailed instruction so that his life and the lineage of his descendants may be fully preserved." And the Lord spoke once more, addressing Raphael. "Seize Azazel, bind him securely hand and foot, cast him into the eternal darkness. Excavate the desolated desert of Judiel and throw him into its depths. Cover his imprisoned body with rough, jagged stones. Ensure that he sees no flicker of light. On the prophesied day of judgment, he shall be hurled directly into the consuming fire." The Lord then mandated that the earth must be physically healed, that the spiritual plague introduced by the Watchers must be eradicated, because the world had been poisoned by the illicit teachings of Azazel, to whom the totality of the sin was to be morally attributed. Next, the Lord addressed Gabriel, commanding him to destroy the hybrid offspring of the Watchers, to pit them against one another so skillfully that they would annihilate themselves in ferocious battle. Their fathers would gain no hearing of their cries. Their hope for an extended existence would be ruthlessly terminated. And the Lord spoke to Michael, instructing him, "Secure Samjaza and all those aligned with him. Once their sons have destroyed each other, bind the Watchers themselves for 70 successive generations within the cavernous valleys of the earth, until the ultimate day of final judgment. Then, they will be forcibly cast into the abyss of fire and eternally imprisoned. All wicked spirits were to be forcefully removed. All traces of corruption were to be scrubbed from the earth. Righteousness and enduring truth were to be firmly established, and they would flourish in perpetuity. I was then granted a vision of the purified world that would follow. The righteous would indeed survive the cleansing. They would enjoy long, fruitful lives steeped in peace. The earth would be diligently cultivated in righteousness and saturated with blessing. The great trees would bear fruit abundantly. Vines would yield a superfluity of grapes. Every single seed sown would multiply beyond all previous measure. Oil and wine would flow in endless supply. Oppression would be erased completely. Sin would be permanently removed. Godlessness would be systematically destroyed. All the nations of the world would bow down and worship the Most High. The earth would be immaculately cleansed forever. Then the Lord declared that he would open the celestial storehouses, generously pouring abundant blessing upon the dedicated labor of mankind. Truth and profound peace would traverse the earth together through every succeeding generation. Prior to these momentous judgments, I was hidden away. No man on earth knew my precise location, where I resided, or what had ultimately become of me. My days were spent exclusively among the holy beings. My singular duty concerned the fate of the Watchers, and I, Enoch, continuously blessed the Lord of Majesty, the sovereign King of the ages. Then the Watchers sent their plea to me. They addressed me as Enoch, the designated scribe of righteousness, and commanded me to speak to those very angels who had abandoned their heavenly abode, defiled themselves through union with women, and adopted the transient ways of men. I was appointed to declare to them that they had initiated destruction upon the earth, and that they would never secure peace or forgiveness. I conveyed to them that they would be forced to witness the annihilation of their own giant children and mourn eternally. But divine mercy would never be extended to them. I spoke directly to Azazel and stated unequivocally that there would be no peace for him. His judgment had been irreversibly decreed. He would be bound because of the deep unrighteousness he had propagated and the corruption he had revealed. Terror gripped them all. They implored me to compose a formal petition, begging for the possibility of forgiveness on their behalf. They were consumed by shame. They could no longer raise their eyes toward heaven. So I drafted their desperate petition. I meticulously recorded their wicked deeds and their subsequent pleas. Then I proceeded to the waters of Dan, near Mount Hermon, and read their written petition aloud until an overwhelming sleep claimed me, and a devastating vision descended upon me. I witnessed the final pronouncement of judgment. I heard a commanding voice ordering me to return immediately and declare the decree to the watchers. When I awoke, I found them huddled together, weeping hysterically, their faces obscured in profound shame, and I told them every single detail of what I had seen. I spoke the mandated words of righteousness, and I officially pronounced the irrevocable judgment upon the watchers of heaven. Enoch, the book of the words of righteousness. I was entrusted with specific words to speak, words of absolute righteousness and terrible judgment. They were not devised by me. They were commanded by the Holy and Great One, revealed to me in a profound vision while my body slept. What I articulate now, I speak using a human tongue and mortal breath, the precious gift God granted to mankind so that the heart might attain wisdom. The same God who gave men rational understanding gave me the terrifying task of delivering the judgment to the watchers, the renegade children of heaven. I had written their petition, and in the subsequent vision, I was shown its crushing answer. Their petition would be denied eternally, not in this age nor in any age yet to arrive. The judgment had already been irrevocably sealed. They would never again be permitted to ascend into the heavens. A divine decree had gone forth to permanently bind them to the earth for the remaining days of the world. Before their binding was complete, they were destined to witness the brutal destruction of their own sons. They would watch them fall by the sword, and no prayer, no outpouring of weeping, no pleading, no word written or spoken, could possibly alter what had been decreed. Then the overwhelming vision seized me completely. Clouds summoned me upward. A dense mist effortlessly carried me away. The swift stars and the volatile lightning accelerated my path. The winds lifted my body and bore me relentlessly upward into the very heart of heaven itself. I approached a colossal outer wall constructed of crystal, entirely surrounded by surging tongues of fire. Fear seized my limbs, yet I pressed onward. I penetrated a structure built wholly of polished crystal. Its interior walls resembled a geometrically patterned floor of radiant light. Its foundation was pure, perfectly transparent sapphire. Above me, the ceiling shimmered violently like the paths traced by racing stars and jagged lightning. Between these celestial elements were fiery cherubim, and suspended above them, the cascading waters of heaven. Intense flames encircled the entire structure. Its gates burned with an everlasting fire. Inside, the environment both burned with extreme heat and froze simultaneously with unnatural ice. There was no solace to be found there, only paralyzing dread. Profound trembling overtook me, and I collapsed upon my face. Then I perceived a second, vastly greater house, overshadowing the first. Its monumental gates stood wide open, and it was constructed entirely from living fire. Its breathtaking splendor transcended the capacity of any mortal language to describe. Its floor was pure fire. Above it pulsed violent lightning and the light of countless stars. And there, I saw a throne lofty, dazzling like refined crystal, its supporting wheels rotating and shining like the fiercest sun. Beneath it surged tumultuous rivers of fire, so blindingly intense that I could not bear to look directly upon them. The great glory himself sat enthroned. His divine garment shone brighter than the hottest sun, whiter than the purest, freshly fallen snow. No angel could draw near to him without perishing. No mortal flesh could endure the sight of his face. Pillars of fire encircled him completely. 10,000 times 10,000 beings stood in attendance before him. Yet he required no counsel from anyone. I lay prostrate and shaking violently. Then the Lord called my name from the midst of the glory. Come near, Enoch, and receive my sacred word. I was gently raised by one of the holy servants and brought to the very threshold of the gate. I bowed low in reverence, and the voice addressed me, saying, "Fear not, Enoch, you righteous man and faithful scribe of righteousness. Approach and hear my decree." I was commanded to relay a final, devastating message to the watchers. They should have acted as intermediaries, interceding on behalf of mortal men, not attempting to secure men to intercede for them. They had deliberately abandoned their eternal habitation. They had polluted themselves with human women. Though they were created as spiritual and immortal beings, they had lusted after transient flesh and blood. They were never created for the institution of marriage. Heaven was their rightful, eternal dwelling. Because of this radical abandonment, their hybrid offspring, the giants, would become malevolent spirits roaming the earth. Their physical bodies would perish, but their destructive spirits would remain, afflicting mankind, inciting violence, famine, chaos, and utter destruction until the date of the final judgment. And I was instructed to deliver this last, solemn word to the watchers: "You shall find no peace now or forever." Enoch is guided by angels. Then the holy angels escorted me. They transported me to realms where beings manifested seemingly as pure fire. Yet, when they chose, they took on the physical guise of men. They led me to an impossibly high mountain, whose jagged peak pierced the very heavens and into profound regions of impenetrable darkness. I was shown the immense treasuries where the stars are held, the source chambers of the thunder, the lightning, the searing, fiery bow, the arrows of judgment, and the terrible sword of flame. I was brought to the living, pristine waters and to the consuming fire of the west where the sun completes its daily descent. I observed a river of incandescent fire streaming like liquid water into the great, boundless sea. I beheld vast, unexplored rivers and territories where no human foot has ever dared to tread. Mountains perpetually shrouded in winter darkness and the secret sources of the cosmic deep. I saw the mouths of all earthly rivers and the formidable entrance of the bottomless abyss. I witnessed the massive treasuries of the winds and learned how they are meticulously regulated to sustain all creation. I saw the foundational cornerstone of the earth and the four cardinal winds that physically support the sky itself. These are the immutable pillars of heaven. I saw the invisible winds guiding the sun and the stars precisely to their appointed settings. I observed clouds being ferried across the earth. I saw the defined paths utilized by the traveling angels. At the ultimate ends of the earth, I came upon a place of perpetual burning, where 7 enormous mountains stood, radiating intensely with brilliant colored stone, shimmering pearl, and relentless fire. The central mountain ascended like a divine throne, reaching into heaven itself, crowned with the intense blue of sapphire. Beyond these, I saw a deep, unplumbed abyss filled with columns of heavenly fire stretching vertically, extending immeasurably upward and downward. Beyond that, lay a region devoid of sky, lacking earth, barren of water, a terrifying expanse of utter desolation and horror. There, I saw 7 colossal stars blazing like mountains of concentrated fire. The attendant angel revealed to me, "This is the prison reserved for the heaven and the earth." These specific stars deliberately violated the command of the Lord. They failed to rise at their appointed seasons. They are bound here, held captive, until the fulfillment of their judgment is complete. Uriel spoke again, adding, "Here also shall stand the angels who deliberately defiled themselves with human women. Their liberated spirits now wander the earth, cunningly deceiving mankind, manipulating them into the worship of demons presented as gods. Here they will remain incarcerated until the day of the great judgment. And the women who consorted with them and went astray would be transformed into destructive sirens, seductive agents of ruin. I, Enoch, alone was granted these profound visions, the terrible ends of all creation. And no other human shall ever be permitted to witness what I have seen." The holy angels revealed to Enoch. It was revealed to me that the heavens are perpetually vigilant. There exists an order of holy angels explicitly appointed to supervise and guard mankind. Each is positioned with a specific purpose, each carrying delegated authority directly from the Most High. I was granted the privilege of learning their sacred names. Uriel, one of the foremost holy angels, is set in authority over the terrestrial world and over the abyssal depths of Tartarus. Raphael is appointed over the ephemeral spirits of men. Raguel is the one who executes cosmic vengeance upon the world of the luminaries when they commit transgression. Michael is positioned over the best segment of mankind and over the disorder of chaos. Sarahel is appointed over the spirits who commit sins in the spiritual realm. Gabriel is set over the garden of paradise, and over the serpents, and the protecting cherubim. Rael is appointed over those who are destined to rise. And then I was transported further, into a place where the fabric of reality felt irrevocably torn. I journeyed to a region defined by sheer disorder, and what I observed there was absolutely terrifying. There was no clearly delineated heaven above, nor any solid earth beneath, only an unstable region of profound confusion, horrifying and volatile, like a cosmos violently ripped away from its original order. In that terrible place, I saw 7 immense stars of heaven, bound together in chains, appearing like enormous, smoking mountains burning intensely with fire. I could not comprehend this sight, so I asked, for what specific sin are they bound? Why have they been mercilessly cast into this dreadful location? Uriel, my guide and the chief among them, answered my pressing question. Enoch, he said, why is your heart so fervently eager to grasp the absolute truth? These are among the stellar bodies of heaven that defiantly transgressed the commandment of the Lord. They are restrained here until 10,000 years are fully completed, the fixed period appointed for the expiation of their sin. From there, I was led to yet another place, far more harrowing than the first. I beheld an immense, untamed conflagration, a raging inferno that knew no boundary or master. The very foundations of the earth had yielded, torn open to reveal a chasm, an abyssal descent into nothingness. Within this yawning gulf, ceaseless pillars of pure fire plummeted into the unseen depths, a perpetual cascade of judgment. Its scale defied mortal comprehension. I could not gauge its measure, nor could my mind frame its terrifying immensity. Overwhelmed, I gasped aloud. What staggering terror this place holds! How utterly dreadful is this sight to behold! The holy angel Uriel, who guided me, perceived my distress and inquired gently, Enoch, why does such deep apprehension grip your soul? I replied, my voice shaking. It is the dread majesty of this location, Uriel, and the sheer agony that echoes from within. He then revealed the terrible truth. This pit of consuming flame is the eternal prison prepared for the host of fallen angels. Here, sealed away from the light of the living, they shall remain in torment for ages everlasting. Then, from that vision, I was transported swiftly to a colossal mountain formed of intractable, dark stone. Embedded deep within its mass were 4 segregated chambers, or hollow places, deep, impossibly wide, unervingly smooth, and choked with impenetrable darkness. They appeared less like natural caves and more like structures deliberately sculpted for some unseen purpose, awaiting some dreadful, appointed assembly. Raphael, the holy angel who walked beside me, clarified the mystery. He explained that these great hollows were ordained resting places for the spirits of those who had departed life. It is here, he stated, that the souls of all the children of humanity gather, held in suspension until the great day of final reckoning, until their appointed hour arrives and the judgment of the eternal King is executed upon them. Just then, a sound pierced the silence. A voice, not of the living, but an insistent, echoing plea, a relentless cry of protest that would not cease. It was the sound of a spirit laying its case, its eternal grievance, directly before the high courts of heaven. I leaned toward Raphael and asked, this agonizing spirit that cries out so perpetually, whose voice is this? Raphael answered, his tone heavy with ancient memory. This is the spirit that rose from Abel, whom his brother Cain murdered. It continues to press its unending charge against Cain and his lineage, demanding vengeance until the very seed of Cain is utterly eradicated from the surface of the earth, until it is entirely wiped clean from the memory of men. I scrutinized those vast, dark chambers once more and asked, "Why are these hollow places distinct? Why must one be apart from the other?" Raphael explained the divine mandate. These partitions were established to segregate the spirits of the dead according to their fate. One division is reserved solely for the righteous, a space of tranquil repose where bright, living water flows, a blessed precinct of inviolable peace. Another chamber holds the spirits of the great sinners, those who died and were entombed without receiving any final judgment during their earthly lives. Here their souls abide in perpetual agony and anticipation until the catastrophic day of the great judgment, punishment, and unending torment, when they shall be bound forever. Yet another section is for those who justly maintain their righteous suit, the souls of those who were unjustly slain during the wicked reign of sinners and who cry out ceaselessly for divine justice. Finally, there is a distinct place for those who were not fully righteous, yet not wholly condemned like the most vile transgressors. These are the companions of the lawbreakers, and they will never be permitted to rise from this intermediate holding place. Hearing these solemn pronouncements, I raised my voice and blessed the sovereign Lord of glory, declaring, "Blessed forever be my Lord, the Lord of absolute righteousness, who establishes and rules the cosmos eternally." My journey continued, and I was swiftly borne westward, carried to the uttermost limits of the earth. There, I witnessed a phenomenon both terrifying and mysterious. A wall of fire that never, ever subsided. It raced across the perimeter of the world, day and night without interruption, moving with the terrifying urgency of a relentless, cosmic hunter sweeping across the horizon. I asked my guide, "What is this tireless flame that cannot rest?" The angel Ragwell, whose duty is the supervision of the elements, answered, "This is the cleansing, western fire appointed to relentlessly pursue and chastise all the luminaries of heaven who fail in their obedience." Next, I was granted a vision of an extensive mountain range consumed by an everlasting fire, blazing day and night. Yet, situated majestically beyond that inferno stood 7 magnificent mountains, each unique in composition and glorious to the eye. They were formed of beautiful, precious stones, a glorious spectacle, but sharply segmented by deep, disconnected ravines. In the absolute center stood the 7th mountain, towering above the rest, its summit perfectly shaped, resembling a mighty throne rising from the very bedrock of the earth. The air surrounding it was heavy with the perfume of fragrant trees. And amongst those trees, I saw one that transcended all known species. Its aroma was intoxicating, surpassing every earthly spice. Its leaves never withered, its blossoms held their life eternally, its wood resisted decay, and its fruit was golden and lovely, like the richest dates of a palm. I exclaimed, "How sublimely beautiful is this tree! How sweet its penetrating fragrance! How delightful its perfect appearance!" Michael, the holy and honored archangel, responded to my awe. "Enoch," he said, "why is this fragrance so compelling? Why do you press so intently to uncover its secret truth?" I confessed, "I desire to comprehend all the mysteries shown to me, but this tree, above all, draws my spirit." And Michael explained the vision. "That high mountain you behold, whose peak is fashioned like the very throne of the Almighty, is the destined location where the Holy Great One, the Lord of Glory, the Eternal King, shall take his seat when he descends to visit the earth with ultimate goodness and mercy. But this incomparably fragrant tree, no mortal being may approach or touch it until the great, final judgment has passed. Only then shall it be presented as a gift to the righteous. Its celestial fruit will be the sustenance for the elect. It will be transported to the holy place, into the glorious temple of the Lord, the King who reigns forever. When that day comes, they shall enter that sacred precinct with rejoicing. Its aroma will restore their strength and renew their souls. They will be granted long life upon the renewed earth, even as your earliest fathers lived. And in those blessed days no sorrow, no pestilence, no torment, and no calamity of any kind shall ever afflict them. Overwhelmed, I blessed the God of glory, the eternal King, who had perfectly prepared such inconceivable rewards for the righteous, who created them for this destiny and promised them its fulfillment. Following this, I was shown a vision of a truly blessed landscape, a land bursting with life and trees, perpetually in bloom. I saw a singular holy mountain, beneath which a stream of pure water flowed vigorously toward the south. Surrounding it were other mountains and ravines carved from hard, severe rock, deep, confining, intensely dry, and utterly desolate. I stood in awe, trying to decipher the meaning of this juxtaposed geography. I inquired, why is this area so gloriously blessed with verdant trees, and why is that dark valley situated between them so distinctly cursed? Uriel provided the interpretation. That profound, accursed valley is reserved for those who are eternally damned, specifically those who spoke harsh, blasphemous words against the Lord and dared to dishonor his sublime glory. Here they will be forcibly gathered for their final sentencing. And in the culmination of the last days, the perfect, righteous judgment will be enacted and visibly displayed before the gaze of the righteous forevermore. The compassionate ones will then bless the Lord of glory, the eternal King, giving thanks for the mercy he has justly allotted to them. Once more, I blessed the Lord of glory and offered my deepest praise. Thereafter, I was led further east into the deep desert mountains. I witnessed a solitary, vast wilderness, paradoxically lush with resilient plants and sturdy trees. Torrential water rushed down from heights like a river, and clouds and dew rose softly on every side, watering the desolation. My journey continued into regions overwhelmed by fragrance. Valleys scented with frankincense and myrrh, where cinnamon and sweet resin clung heavy in the air. I passed mountains utterly filled with nard and rare spices, and trees whose wood, when even slightly heated, released a perfume sweeter than any crafted essence. Then, far to the east, I traveled above the Erythraean Sea and traversed the domain beyond the angel Zodiel, finally arriving at the legendary Garden of Righteousness. From a great distance, I beheld trees beyond count, enormous in size, incredibly beautiful, and radiating glory. It was there I saw the tree of knowledge. This tree, whose fruit imparts profound wisdom, possessed leaves of astonishing breadth, and its fruit hung in heavy clusters like mature vines. Its fragrance permeated the entire realm. I declared, "What marvelous beauty this tree holds! How compelling and attractive its very appearance!" Raphael confirmed its identity. "This is the renowned tree of wisdom, from which your first father and your first mother, those who preceded you, partook." Instantly, their eyes were opened to a new, painful form of consciousness. They acquired knowledge of good and evil. They understood their own nakedness, and for this transgression, they were irrevocably banished from this sacred garden. As I journeyed onward, I observed the great creatures of the earth, diverse species unlike any other, and birds, each possessing its own unique beauty and specific song. At the uttermost perimeter, I saw the exact place where the heavens physically rest upon the earth, and the mighty portals of heaven swung open before my sight. I watched in rapt attention as the stars emerged through their designated gates. I diligently counted these cosmic entrances, meticulously charting their outlets, documenting each star by its given name, its precise course, and its appointed time, exactly as the angel Uriel instructed and revealed to me. I was shown the northern portals, the source from which come the bitter cold winds, the hail, the biting frost, the heavy snow, the gentle dew, and the cleansing rain. I noted that of these portals, one singular opening brings forth blessing and good fortune, but two others release violence and unrelenting affliction upon the world. I also observed the western portals, the southern and the eastern great and small openings through which the celestial lights run their regulated course, moving constantly toward the west upon the precisely mapped trajectory assigned to them. As often as these tremendous wonders were displayed before me, I blessed the Lord of glory, for he has accomplished great and marvelous works so that the angels, the spirits, and the children of men may fully perceive the sheer magnificence of his power. Therefore, let all creation praise his design and bless him forever. This constitutes the opening of Enoch, Book 2, known as the Book of Parables. Chapter 1, the first parable. I am Enoch, son of Jared, son of Mahalalel, son of Canaan, son of Enos, son of Seth, son of Adam. This account details the second profound vision granted to me, the ultimate vision of sacred wisdom. I raised my voice and began to speak not merely to the generations that lived before my time, but also, and urgently, to those who are destined to come long afterward. I commanded, "Listen intently, you who walked the earth before my existence, and you who will live in the distant future. Hear now the solemn words of the Holy One that I utter in the presence of the Lord of Spirits. It would have been a blessing to unveil these deep mysteries to the earliest generations, but the gift of wisdom will certainly not be withheld from the last generation. Until this specific moment, such comprehensive wisdom had never been imparted. Yet now it was fully delivered to me. This gift was not earned by my own limited strength, nor by any inherent worthiness, but entirely by the gracious, good pleasure of the Lord of Spirits, who appointed for me a divine portion inextricably tied to eternal life. Thus I was entrusted with 3 sacred parables. I lifted my voice high and began to recount these revelations to all who dwell upon the earth. This is the first parable. I was shown a vision of a future, decisive hour when the true congregation of the righteous would be openly manifested, and all sinners would be irrevocably judged for the wickedness of their transgression, utterly driven from the face of the living earth. In that culminating hour, the righteous one himself would stand revealed before the eyes of the redeemed. His magnificent, elect works would stand firmly upon the authority of the Lord of Spirits. Then, a blinding, glorious light would surge forth for the righteous and the chosen ones who dwell upon the earth. A terrifying question arose in my heart like a peal of thunder. Where, then, will the condemned sinners find shelter? Where will those repose who vehemently denied the Lord of Spirits throughout their existence? It would have been a profound mercy for them had they never been conceived and born into the world. For on that day, the deepest secrets held by the righteous will be brought to light, and the godless will be forcibly expelled from the presence of the holy and the elect. Those who once tyrannically possessed the earth, who lived in arrogant power and exaltation, will have their strength stripped away. They will no longer be able to endure the sight of the holy faces, because the Lord of Spirits will cause his terrifying light to shine fiercely upon the holy, upon the righteous, and upon his elect ones. Then, the greatest kings and the mightiest rulers will violently fall from their thrones. They will utterly perish and be delivered completely into the punishing hands of the righteous. From that moment onward, no possibility will exist for them to seek or find mercy for themselves. Their appointed time of life and opportunity will have reached its final termination. And I was shown yet another matter, profoundly mysterious, immensely weighty, and terrifying in its implications. In those days, a host of elect and holy children will descend from the highest heaven, and their sacred seed will merge and become one with the children of men dwelling below. In those same days of merging and judgment, I received books vibrating with divine zeal and consuming wrath, volumes cataloging unrest and eternal expulsion. And I heard the uncompromising declaration spoken plainly, "Mercy will not be granted to them," says the Lord of Spirits. Then, a strange transformation occurred. A massive whirlwind seized me from the surface of the earth, lifting me effortlessly like a speck of dust, and deposited me at the vast, distant end of the heavens. There, an entirely new vision unfolded before my gaze. The glorious dwelling places of the holy ones, the eternal resting places reserved for the righteous. I saw their permanent homes established amongst the pure angels. I observed their places of repose established among the holy ones, and I watched how they spent their time. They prayed without ceasing, they petitioned the Almighty, and they fervently interceded on behalf of the struggling children of men. In this place, righteousness flowed forth continuously before them like an ever-present river, and mercy descended upon the earth like inexhaustible dew. This was not a temporary state. This blessing was decreed as their eternal inheritance. In that elevated place, my eyes fixed upon the elect one, the chosen one of perfect righteousness and unwavering faith. I saw his dwelling place secured beneath the very wings of the Lord of Spirits. In the time of his reign, righteousness will achieve ultimate victory, and the righteous and the elect assembled before him will be beyond all numbering, forever secured. They shone like brilliant, fiery lights. Their mouths were overflowing with articulate blessings. Their lips constantly praised the holy name of the Lord of Spirits, and the flow of righteousness established before him never diminished. A deep, soulful feeling erupted within me, a profound longing mixed with uncontrollable worship. My entire spirit yearned intensely for that permanent dwelling. I understood then that this destiny had been assigned to me long ago, established concerning me in the eternal presence of the Lord of Spirits. Therefore I praised him openly. I extolled the name of the Lord of Spirits with every blessing and honor, because he had destined me for such blessing and glory purely according to his sovereign, good pleasure. For a prolonged time, I stood utterly mesmerized, staring at that sacred place, and I proclaimed, "Blessed is he, blessed from the first moment and into eternity. Before him, there is no cessation or end. He knew what would be forever and what would arise from generation to generation, even before the cosmos was ever constructed." And then I saw the ones who do not sleep, the glorious watchers, standing ceaselessly before his glory, blessing and praising and extolling him, crying out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of Spirits. He fills the entire earth with the multitude of spirits." I saw them, eternally awake and utterly unceasing in their adoration, declaring, "Blessed are you, and blessed is the name of the Lord forever and ever." At that overwhelming display, my own face was transformed, for I could no longer physically endure the immensity of the sight I was witnessing. I looked again and beheld a multitude that could not be counted, thousands upon thousands, 10,000 times 10,000, all standing in reverent attendance before the Lord of Spirits. On the four sides surrounding him, I perceived four presences, magnificent beings who were distinct from the watchers. The angel who accompanied me then graciously revealed their names and showed me deep, hidden things concerning them. I heard their powerful voices as they spoke praise before the Lord of Glory. The first voice gave eternal blessing to the Lord of Spirits forever and ever. The second voice blessed the elect one and those chosen souls who faithfully cling to the Lord of Spirits. The third voice prayed and interceded profoundly for those who dwell upon the fragile earth, pleading in the authoritative name of the Lord of Spirits. And the fourth voice stood firm, resisting the Satans, blocking their malice, refusing them all access to accuse the inhabitants of the earth. I turned to the angel of peace who guided my journey and asked, "Who are these four monumental presences whose words I have heard and so carefully recorded?" He answered, "The first is Michael, the merciful and long-suffering champion. The second is Raphael, the healer, appointed over all disease and the wounds of the children of men. The third is Gabriel, set over all divine powers and the serpents. And the fourth is Fuel, who is appointed over repentance leading unto hope for those destined to inherit eternal life." These, he concluded, were the four premier angels of the Lord of Spirits, and these were the four defining voices I heard resonate in those pivotal days. After this, I was admitted to the deepest secrets. I was shown the hidden structure of heaven itself. I observed how the kingdom is administratively divided, and how the moral actions of men are meticulously weighed, like physical objects placed upon a perfectly calibrated scale. I saw the glorious mansions prepared for the elect and the sanctuaries reserved for the holy. Conversely, I witnessed sinners being utterly driven out, those who denied the holy name of the Lord of Spirits, dragged away because their limited essence could not possibly withstand the overwhelming punishment that radiates from him. I was shown the secrets of lightning and thunder, and the essential secrets of the winds, how they are segmented into specific currents to traverse the earth. I learned the secrets of the clouds and the falling dew, where they originate, and how they provide life-giving moisture to the parched, dusty ground. I saw chambers that are perpetually shut away, the vast storehouses of the wind, the icy chambers of the hail, and the chambers holding the mist and the enveloping cloud, that same cloud that has perpetually hovered over the earth since the dawn of creation. I saw the celestial chambers of the sun and the moon, understanding their points of departure and their appointed destinations of return. I observed their glorious emergence and their perfectly measured, unerring orbits. They never strayed from their assigned lines. They did not increase their path, nor did they subtract from it. They kept perfect, absolute faith with one another according to the solemn oath that eternally binds them. The sun emerges and traverses his long path precisely by the commanding word of the Lord of Spirits. Mighty is his name forever. And I witnessed the moon's hidden and visible course, moving both by day and by night, standing in majestic opposition to the sun before the Lord of Spirits. They both offer unceasing thanks. For them, true thanksgiving is their only necessary repose. I learned that the sun, depending on man's allegiance, can become either a powerful blessing or a scorching curse. Similarly, the moon becomes a source of guiding light to the righteous but a symbol of darkness and confusion to the impenitent sinners. All done in the name of the Lord who originally separated the light from the darkness, who divided the inner spirits of men, and who continually strengthens the spirits of the righteous in the name of his eternal righteousness. No celestial angel can obstruct his will. No earthly or heavenly power can successfully resist him. He appoints a just judge for every single soul, and all are ultimately judged before his scrutiny. Then I was shown a vision that profoundly pierced my heart. Divine wisdom sought diligently for a proper dwelling place among creation, but she found none suitable. She was therefore assigned a permanent residence in the highest heaven. Wisdom descended again, making a hopeful excursion to dwell among the children of men, but again she found no welcoming home on earth. Dejected, she returned to her celestial origin and took her rightful seat among the holy angels. Yet, concurrently, unrighteousness issued forth triumphantly from her own dark chambers, and she found acceptance among those she had not even sought out, dwelling with them easily and spreading rapidly, like unexpected, restorative rain in a vast desert, or dew falling upon thirsty, waiting ground. I saw yet other manifestations of lightning and the countless stars of heaven. I observed how the Lord called each one of them by their unique name, and they instantly obeyed his command. I saw them being meticulously weighed in a righteous balance, measured by their intensity of light, by the span of their orbits, and by the exact day of their annual appearance. I saw how their ordered revolutions generate the streaks of lightning. I noted their perfect, unbreakable covenant of faith with one another. I asked the angel who was constantly with me, the one who revealed all hidden things, "What profound truth do these things represent?" And he replied, "The Lord of Spirits has shown you their parabolic meaning. These celestial bodies are the symbolic names of the holy ones who reside upon the earth and who believe steadfastly in the name of the Lord of Spirits forever and ever." And I saw one final wonder in this celestial domain. Certain stars would ascend, violently transform into lightning, and then they could never escape or abandon that new, terrible form. And I understood immediately that what I was seeing was not solely a description of the heavens, but a stark prophecy concerning the fixed fate of men. Chapter 2. The Second Parable. I was granted the vision of the second parable, a powerful revelation directed against those who scorn the sacred dwelling places and ruthlessly reject the mighty name of the Lord of Spirits. And this profound truth settled upon me. There are some whose active rebellion becomes their unalterable, fixed destiny. They will find no ascent into heaven, and upon the earth, they will find no true, secure refuge. This fate will be the bitter portion of all sinners, those who dared to deny the absolute name of the Lord of Spirits, preserved, kept, and specifically appointed for a dreadful day of suffering and overwhelming tribulation. Then I heard a mighty decree spoken concerning that awesome day. The elect one will take his seat upon the throne of glory. He will rigorously test all works. He will precisely weigh all deeds. And the places of rest appointed for the righteous will be boundless. Their souls will draw immense strength and sustenance when they behold the chosen ones, those who have continually called upon the glorious, holy name. And I heard the great promise affirmed, "I will cause my elect one to dwell intimately among them." And the world itself would undergo an absolute transformation. Heaven would be remade into an endless blessing, a perpetual source of light. The earth would be divinely renewed, converted into a place of complete blessing, and the elect would dwell upon it in safety. But the sinners and the unrepentant evildoers will never be permitted to set foot there. For perfect, comprehensive peace was prepared for the righteous, made utterly full and complete, so they might dwell forever in his presence. But for the wicked sinners, Judgment stood perpetually waiting, ready to rise, ready to strike with finality until they would be utterly removed from the face of the renewed earth. And then, with overwhelming clarity, I saw him. I saw the head of days. His head shone brilliantly white like the purest wool, ancient beyond all measure of time. And standing alongside him was another being, whose face carried the visible appearance of a man, yet who possessed a radiant graciousness like one of the most holy angels. I turned urgently to the angel who was guiding me, the revealer of hidden things, and I pressed him. Who, I pray, is that Son of Man? From where did he originate? And why does he walk in such intimate proximity with the head of days? And the angel provided the profound answer. This is the Son of Man, endowed with inherent righteousness. Righteousness does not merely accompany him, it actively dwells within him. He is the one appointed to reveal the deep treasures of what is hidden. The Lord of Spirits has chosen him above all others, and his allotted portion holds eternal preeminence before the presence of the Lord of Spirits forever. I was then shown the scope of his future authority. This Son of Man would possess the power to elevate kings and mighty men from their exalted seats of power, only to decisively cast them down. He would forcibly loosen the reins of the strongest rulers on earth. He would break the very teeth of the sinners because they stubbornly refused to honor him, refused to offer praise, and refused to acknowledge the divine source from which their transient kingdoms derived. Their boasted strength would suddenly collapse into deep shame. Darkness would become their permanent habitation, and worms their chilling bed, and they would entertain no hope of rising again, precisely because they willfully failed to exalt the majestic name of the Lord of Spirits. I perceived exactly who these condemned individuals were. They had judged the very stars of heaven as though the celestial spheres belonged to them by decree. They had mercilessly trampled the earth underfoot as though it were their personal property by inherent right. Their manifest deeds exposed their absolute unrighteousness. Their entire confidence was recklessly placed upon accumulated riches. Their faith was firmly anchored in crude gods fashioned by their own hands. Crucially, they had denied the sacred name of the Lord of Spirits. They actively persecuted his congregations. They mercilessly hunted down the faithful who held fast to his name. But then, a counterforce arose, the collective, ascending prayer of the righteous. The innocent blood of the righteous cried out relentlessly from the very ground before the throne of the Lord of Spirits. And the holy ones above, galvanized by the outrage, united with a single voice. They prayed. They offered powerful praise. They gave thanks. They blessed the name of the Lord of Spirits specifically on behalf of the blood that had been violently shed. They pleaded that the enduring prayer of the righteous would not be offered in vain. They desperately begged that the final judgment would be executed swiftly, so that the righteous would not be made to suffer eternally. Then, I saw the head of days, the Ancient of Days, take his final, immutable seat upon the majestic throne of glory. The great books of the living were opened before him. All the vast host of heaven stood in solemn, perfect attendance. His innermost counselors were present, and a terrifying yet profound joy filled the court. The anxieties were quieted in the hearts of the holy ones, for the full count of the faithful martyrs had been rendered. Their long-offered petition had finally been acknowledged, and the accounting for the blood of the righteous was now demanded. And in that transcendent domain, my gaze fell upon an unparalleled sight, a sublime fountain of righteousness, its crystalline waters flowing eternally, without measure or depletion. Encircling this source were subsidiary streams, fountains of profound wisdom. Those parched souls who drank from them were immediately saturated with insight and understanding, and their eternal heritage was secured among the congregation of the righteous, the sacred, and the chosen elect. Then, at that very instant, a declaration was made. The Son of Man was formally named within the august presence of the Lord of Spirits. His identity was proclaimed before the Ancient of Days. This naming transcended time. It occurred before the solar orb was kindled in the sky, before the celestial constellations were mapped, and long before the stars themselves were formed into shining hosts. His glorious name was not newly discovered, but had been immemorially known in the divine council of the Lord of Spirits. and I was granted insight into his destined purpose. He would become an unshakable staff for the righteous, ensuring their steps never falter. A brilliant light illuminating the nations, and the final, enduring hope for every heart consumed by sorrow. Consequently, all inhabitants of the earth would prostrate themselves before him, offering adoration, endless praise, heartfelt blessings, and hymns directed toward the Lord of Spirits. I understood then that he had been predestined, selected, and profoundly hidden before the very foundations of the cosmos were laid. For all eternity, wisdom revealed him successively to the holy and the righteous, because their eternal portion had been preserved inviolate. They had hated the pervasive unrighteousness of the world. They had completely rejected its corrupt paths. They clung tenaciously to the name of the Lord of Spirits, and finding refuge in his name, they were saved. But concerning the potentates and kings of the earth, those tyrants who claimed dominion over the land, their countenances would be utterly cast down. In the day of supreme anguish, they would find no salvation within their own strength. They would be delivered, helpless, into the hands of the triumphant elect. They would ignite and vanish, consumed in the fiery presence of the holy ones, exactly like dry straw confronting a raging conflagration. They would dissolve and sink away, precisely like lead molten and plunged into searing water. No vestige of their existence would remain. They would fall into eternal ruin, never to rise again, because they had vehemently rejected the Lord of Spirits and brazenly denied his anointed one. And I blessed the glorious name of the Lord of Spirits, because divine wisdom is continuously poured out like rushing water, and his glory remains undiminished and fails not before him. Unrighteousness passes swiftly, merely a fleeting shadow, and it cannot endure, for the elect one stands eternally before the Lord of Spirits, and his glory is forever fixed. For within him resides the quintessence of the spirit of wisdom, the spirit of profound insight, the spirit of deep understanding, the spirit of celestial might, and the integrated spirits of all those who found their rest within righteousness. He will judge all things kept secret, and no utterance of falsehood or deceit can endure his gaze. This is the ultimate elect one, chosen and ratified by the Lord of Spirits. Then I witnessed a promised transformation coming for the holy and the elect. The radiant light of days would settle and rest upon them. Glory and honor would turn to attend them. And on the predicted day when affliction is meticulously stored up and released against the sinners, the righteous would decisively triumph in the victorious name of the Lord of Spirits. Some onlookers would witness this mighty judgment and finally repent, turning away from the destructive labors of their own hands. They would receive no honor, yet through his name, they might still be saved, because the compassion and enduring mercy of the Lord of Spirits are vast beyond measure. But for all those who remained unrepentant, judgment would not bend. Unrighteousness holds no substance and cannot possibly stand in the searing presence of his glory. And I heard the final, terrible sentence proclaimed, "From this moment forth, I will show them no mercy," says the Lord of Spirits. Subsequently, the very earth was issued a sovereign command. It must surrender all that had been entrusted to its keeping. Sheol, the grave, would regurgitate the souls it had mercilessly swallowed, and the deep abyss would relinquish the toll it was owed. For the destined day was approaching when the elect one would ascend in power to meticulously separate the righteous and the holy from the general assembly of the dead. Because that day, the day of salvation, had drawn near, the elect one would take his seat upon the throne, and the words issuing from his mouth would pour forth the profound secrets of wisdom and counsel. This power was granted to him because the Lord of Spirits had bestowed it and eternally glorified him. In those days, I witnessed the profound reaction of creation. The mighty mountains would commence leaping and bounding like exuberant rams, and the low hills would skip with the playful delight of lambs nourished fully by milk. Even the countenances of the highest angels in heaven would radiate with incandescent joy. The whole earth would exult, and the righteous would possess and dwell upon it, while the elect would walk there in glory. After this vision, I was seized once more by a powerful whirlwind and carried toward the west. There, my eyes beheld secrets still profoundly hidden from the understanding of mankind. I saw mountains comprised entirely of raw, elemental matter. Mountains of iron, copper, silver, brilliant gold, soft malleable metal, and heavy lead. I inquired of the attending angel, "What is the meaning of these towering masses?" He replied, "These shall serve as the tribute and foundation for the dominion of his anointed one, enabling him to exercise unparalleled might across the earth." Then the angel of peace instructed me, "Have patience, and you shall witness the hidden secrets that encompass the majesty of the Lord of Spirits. These mountains of metal, iron, copper, silver, gold, soft metal, and lead, shall dissolve like common wax melting before a fierce flame in the presence of the elect one. They shall be rendered utterly powerless beneath his authority, like water streaming down swiftly from the high cliffs." And then I received a revelation that struck a primal fear within my heart. In those final days, no wealth of gold will purchase salvation. No hoard of silver will secure escape. Iron shall no longer be forged for the tools of conflict, and no breastplate shall afford protection. Bronze will offer no assistance. Tin will hold no value, and lead shall be utterly scorned. All these idols of earthly power shall be purged and utterly destroyed from the surface of the earth. Then my vision encompassed a profound valley, searing and perpetually burning with infernal fire. Into this chasm, they began dragging and casting the former kings and mighty rulers of the world. I observed the specially prepared instruments of torment, chains of iron, massive in scale and immeasurable in weight. I questioned the angel, my voice trembling. "For whom are these terrible chains being prepared?" The angel responded, "They are reserved for the legions of Azel, that they may be seized and utterly cast into the pit of absolute, eternal condemnation." And I was shown what momentous events would transpire on that great day. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel would personally take hold of them and throw them directly into the burning furnace. The Lord of Spirits would execute vengeance for their deep unrighteousness, because they willingly subjected themselves to Satan's command and thereby led astray countless souls dwelling on the earth. Then, a final, catastrophic punishment would emanate directly from the Lord of Spirits. He would fling open the floodgates of the water chambers situated above the heavens and unleash the subterranean fountains of the deep. The torrents would merge, sweeping away every soul dwelling in persistent unrighteousness. When they finally perceived the magnitude of the evil they had wrought upon the earth, they would perish by that very judgment. Following this terrible reckoning, I heard the voice of the Ancient of Days, laced with profound sorrow, declare, "It was in vain that I destroyed all the inhabitants of the earth. Yet, he swore by his magnificent name that he would never repeat such an action. He set his radiant sign in the heavens as an everlasting covenant between himself and the earth, guaranteeing this promise for as long as the heavens remain suspended above the land. Yet, he also declared that in the eventual day of tribulation and acute pain, chastisement and wrath would still inevitably descend upon the unrepentant. Then I heard a solemn warning directed toward the powerful kings of the earth. You shall be forced to behold the elect one, to witness precisely how he sits upon the throne of glory and executes judgment upon Azel and all his entire host, doing so in the sacred name of the Lord of Spirits. And I saw the swift movements of the angels of punishment, bearing scourges and tremendous chains of iron and bronze. I inquired, "To where are they bound?" He replied, "They are going toward their chosen and favored ones, so that they may be cast headlong into the chasm of the abyss. And that deep valley would be utterly filled with their bodies. Their numbered days would reach their term, and their insidious deception would no longer hold any sway." My vision shifted, revealing a tempest of unrest surging across the nations. I saw punitive angels rushing eastward, toward the Parthians and the Medes, deliberately agitating their kings, awakening them like ferocious lions, driving them forward like famished wolves loose among unsuspecting flocks. They ravaged and trampled whole regions. Yet, even as they surged onward, the city of the righteous stood immovably, acting as an impenetrable divine barrier. Suddenly, the invading nations turned their fury upon themselves, brother against brother, son slaying father. A horrific self-annihilation where no man recognized his own kindred. The number of the slain corpses was beyond counting, And then I saw Sheol open its abyssal jaws and swallow the masses of sinners in the very presence of the elect one. After this, I witnessed another immense host, chariots and men riding upon them, approaching on the swift winds from the east, west, and south. The tremendous sound of their approach shook the entire world. The very pillars anchoring the earth moved violently. The deafening noise reverberated from one end of heaven to the other in a single cataclysmic day. Then, that chaos dissolved into reverent silence, and all creation fell prostrate to worship the Lord of Spirits. And this marked the conclusion of the second parable. Chapter 3. The third parable. I proceeded immediately to speak the third parable, a profound revelation concerning the eternal destiny of the righteous and the elect. And I raised my voice, declaring, "Blessed are you, O righteous ones! Blessed are you, O elect ones! Because your designated portion shall be glorious beyond imagination." I was granted a glimpse of your future, and it was filled entirely with eternal light. The righteous shall perpetually walk bathed in the light of the perfected sun, and the elect shall make their habitation within the very radiance of eternal life itself. Your blessed days shall never cease. The lifespan of the holy shall extend beyond all measure and reckoning. You shall seek the divine light and shall find perfect righteousness with the Lord of Spirits. Peace will finally settle and rest upon you in the name of the eternal Lord. And I saw that heaven itself would converse with the holy ones. Seek out the deep secrets of righteousness, the heritage of faith. For upon the renewed earth, this heritage would shine with the intensity of the sun. The ancient darkness would entirely vanish. A light would arise that knows no cessation, and no limit of days would ever reach its boundary, because darkness would first be utterly destroyed, and the light of uprightness would be established forever before the Lord of Spirits. Then my spiritual eyes were opened to profound mysteries. I beheld the inner workings of lightning, the precise method of its sudden release, the physics of its strike, and the terrifying speed with which it executes judgment. I understood that this awesome force can be transmuted into a powerful blessing or a terrifying curse, depending entirely upon the specific command of the Lord of Spirits. I witnessed the secrets of the thunder, observing how its voice rolls and resonates throughout the high heaven, and how its tremendous sound is generated when it reverberates above the firmament. And I was made to see the divine judgments executed upon the earth, whether they result in well-being and blessing or in devastation and curse, all carried out according to the explicit word of the Lord of Spirits. Following that, all the hidden mechanisms of lights and lightning were revealed to me again. They illuminate for the purpose of blessing, and they flash violently for the purpose of satisfying divine command, each executing its function according to the spoken word. Then I was given a temporal marker, fixed like a permanent seal upon the vision. In the 500th year, in the 7th month, on the 14th day of my life, this parable unfolded before me. I witnessed an event of cataclysmic violence, a profound, devastating tremor that caused the heaven of heavens itself to violently quake. The entire host of the Most High was convulsed. Angels, thousands upon thousands, 10,000 times 10,000 of them, were stirred into great confusion and deep distress, even as the Ancient of Days sat regally upon the throne of his glory, attended by a throng of righteous and celestial beings. When I saw this spectacle, all physical strength drained completely from my body. A seizure of overwhelming terror gripped me. Fear consumed my spirit. My muscles failed, my internal organs felt weak and turning, and I collapsed instantly upon my face. Then, the Archangel Michael dispatched one of the holy attendants to my aid, and that one gently lifted me. As he raised me, my spirit gradually returned, for I simply could not have endured the sight of that immense host, nor the profound commotion and shaking of the firmament. Michael addressed me, saying, "Why does this vision cause you such distress? Understand that up until this point in history, it has been the day of mercy. The Lord has remained benevolent and enduringly long-suffering toward those who inhabit the earth." But then Michael's voice deepened, taking on a resonant heaviness, like the ominous silence preceding a violent storm. "Yet, when that ultimate day arrives, the day of power, decisive punishment, and irrevocable judgment, the Lord of Spirits has prepared it specifically for those who scorn the righteous law, for those who repudiate divine judgment, and for those who profane his sacred name by uttering it in vain. That terrible day is prepared as an eternal covenant for the elect, but as a rigorous inquisition for all sinners. And I was told clearly that when punishment finally settles upon the guilty, it will not fall ineffectually. It will strike deep, penetrating entire families and subsequent generations, until the execution of judgment is completed according to the measure of his mercy and enduring patience. Then I was shown a celestial sign, strange and terrifying. On that terrifying day, two colossal monsters were deliberately separated and assigned their realms. The female beast was named Leviathan, a serpent appointed to reside in the deepest abyss of the ocean, lurking above the primal fountains of the deep waters. The male counterpart was named Behemoth. His dominion was a desolate, empty wilderness known as Duodain, situated to the east of the garden where the righteous and elect are destined to dwell, close to the very location where my ancestor, the seventh from Adam, was miraculously transported. I requested that the angel reveal to me the full extent of their power and explain how they were divided and appointed to separate domains in a single day, one cast into the sea, the other into the wilderness. But the angel replied, "Son of man, you seek knowledge of that which is intentionally hidden." Then he began to show me profound mysteries, encompassing the first things and the last, things above and things below. He then unveiled universal mysteries, showing me the anchoring foundation of heaven and the remotest boundaries of the earth. He revealed the secret chambers of the winds, how they are meticulously divided, how their velocity is measured and weighed, and how their countless portals are numbered. He demonstrated the calculated power of the moonlight and its precise, assigned measure. He showed me the distinct divisions of the stars, each known intimately by name, each fixed in its designated, immutable order. He showed me the secrets of thunder, how it possesses chambers of rest where it lies dormant, awaiting the command for its mighty peal. He showed me lightning, detailing how it is released in regulated divisions, ensuring it strikes with perfect accuracy. I grasped the profound truth that thunder and lightning are inextricably linked, moving together through the supervising spirit, never truly separated in their essence. When the lightning visibly flashes, the thunder instantly speaks. The ruling spirit enforces their necessary timing and pause, acting like a cosmic bridle that restrains and releases their sound and destructive power across the four quarters of the earth. He unveiled the spirit governing the sea, a force both masculine and immensely strong, capable of drawing the massive waters backward like a vast intake of breath, only to drive them forward again until they disperse among the mountain ranges. He revealed the spirit of terror, horror itself, which is overseen and guided by a specific, appointed angel. He showed me the spirit of hail, carefully guarded by a beneficent angel. I saw the spirit of snow, robust and intense, containing its own peculiar, specialized spirit within it, which ascends like billowing smoke, and whose intrinsic name is called frost. The spirit of mist maintained its own special chamber, glorious in both light and in darkness, in winter and in summer, with a dedicated angel assigned to its custody. The spirit of dew dwelt at the ends of heaven, connected intrinsically to the chambers of rain. Its appointed course was seasonal, active in winter and summer, and its ethereal clouds were joined to the clouds of mist, one element feeding the other. And when the spirit of rain receives the command to go forth, angels open the appointed chamber and lead it out. It then spreads its nourishment over the whole earth and joins the circulating waters on the ground. For the waters are essential sustenance for all who dwell on the earth, given directly from the Most High in heaven. Because of this vital function, there is a fixed measure for the rain, and angels are meticulously entrusted with its administration. These were the sights I beheld in the vicinity of the garden of the righteous. Then the angel of peace, who accompanied me, spoke and said, "These two mighty monsters, prepared according to the greatness of God, shall serve as eternal nourishment." After this, I saw long measuring cords given into the hands of certain angels. They immediately took wing and flew northward. I inquired, "Why have they taken these cords and departed?" He answered, "They have gone to execute a measure," he affirmed. The angel then elaborated, "They are bringing the precise measures and the definitive cords of the righteous, which shall be given to the righteous themselves, ensuring they may cleave permanently to the sacred name of the Lord of Spirits forever. The elect shall finally begin their glorious cohabitation with the elect. These measures are conferred upon faith. They will serve to solidify righteousness and, simultaneously, they will unlock the deep secrets held within the earth's foundations. This act ensures that every soul destroyed by the desolate desert, every body devoured by predatory beasts, and every remnant swallowed by the fish of the ocean depths shall be compelled to return and stand resurrected on the day of the elect one. For no soul cherished by the Lord of Spirits shall be eternally destroyed. Indeed, none can be destroyed. Then I saw the heavens respond to this declaration. All who dwell above received the command, the power, one united voice, and a single light of fire. And with their first synchronized words, they offered blessings and praised and extolled God with profound wisdom. They were inherently wise in their utterance and filled with the very spirit of life. The Lord of Spirits then irrevocably placed the elect one upon the throne of glory, granting him authority to judge even the holy hierarchy residing above in heaven. Their actions, too, would be meticulously weighed in the divine balance. Then a command was issued to the kings, the mighty, and the exalted ones dwelling on the earth. Open your spiritual eyes. Lift up your horns of pride if you are capable of recognizing the elect one. And the Lord of Spirits seated him upon the throne of glory. The spirit of perfect righteousness was poured out fully upon him. The word issuing from his mouth, it would slay the sinners. The unrighteous would be utterly destroyed and removed from before his face. Then in that very day, kings and mighty men, the exalted ones, and the tyrannical rulers of the earth would rise, and they would be forced to see and finally recognize how he sits upon the throne of glory. Righteous judgment would be executed before him. No breath of deceit or falsehood could possibly be uttered in his brilliant presence. And then, an agonizing, crushing pain would seize them. Sudden, unavoidable, and utterly overwhelming, just like the sharp travail of a woman in labor. They would stare wildly at one another in sheer terror, their faces grim and fallen, consumed by raw anguish, because they would finally behold the Son of Man seated upon the throne of his glory. Yet, a truly astonishing sight was revealed to me. The kings, the mighty rulers, and all those who dominated the earth would momentarily pause to bless, glorify, and extol the one who holds absolute sovereignty over all creation, the one whose existence had been perpetually concealed. For indeed, from the very dawn of time, the Son of Man had been hidden. The Most High preserved him securely within the sphere of his power, revealing him only to the faithful elect. The congregation of the holy and the elect would be meticulously gathered, sown like precious seed, and all the elect would stand joyously before him on that day. Then the kings, the mighty, and the rulers of the earth would fall prostrate upon their faces, offering worship and placing their final, desperate hope upon the Son of Man. They would petition him. They would beg for a sliver of mercy. But the Lord of Spirits would exert pressure, swiftly driving them away from his immediate presence. Shame, black and profound, would inundate their faces, and the darkness would utterly deepen around them. He would then hand them over immediately to the angels of punishment to execute the mandated vengeance, because they had oppressed his children and grievously wronged his elect. They would become a terrifying public spectacle for the righteous and the chosen. The righteous would indeed rejoice, not out of cruelty, but because the wrath of the Lord of Spirits had finally settled decisively upon the oppressors, and his righteous sword was drunk with their blood. But for the righteous and the elect, there would be absolute rescue. They would be wholly saved on that day, and never again would they see the faces of sinners and unrighteous men. The Lord of Spirits would abide eternally over them, and with the Son of Man, they would eat, rest, and rise again, forever and ever. The righteous and the elect would rise transformed from the earth. Their faces would no longer bear the marks of sorrow or shame. They would be clothed in majestic garments of glory, garments of eternal life provided by the Lord of Spirits. Their glorious garments would never decay or grow old. Their splendor would never pass away. Then I saw another final moment. Desperate and too late, the mighty kings would beg the angels of punishment for a tiny moment of respite. They would want a final chance to worship and confess their sins. They would cry out, declaring, "Blessed is the Lord of spirits, the sovereign Lord of all kings, the master of the mighty, the owner of all wealth, the fount of glory, the source of all wisdom. Your power is magnificent in every hidden reality, sustaining creation from one age to the next. Your glory endures forever. Your secrets are unfathomably deep, beyond numbering, and your righteousness is impossible to measure." They would lament, "Now, in this final moment, we have learned the truth. We should have blessed the eternal King of Kings." Yet, even as they spoke these words, they would be overcome by agonizing grief. "We yearn desperately for rest," they would wail. "But rest eludes us forever. The light of salvation has utterly vanished from us. Darkness is now our eternal, inescapable dwelling. We refused to believe. We failed to glorify the name of the Lord of Spirits. Instead, we trusted in the strength of our own scepters. We relied wholly on our temporary glory. Now, in this profound suffering and tribulation, we find no rescue. We find no repose. Only the crushing knowledge that our Lord is absolutely true in his works, true in his severe judgments, and true in his perfect justice." And they would confess among themselves, "Our souls are polluted with the fruit of unrighteous gain. Yet, all this wealth cannot prevent us from descending into the eternal burden of Sheol." Then their faces would be filled with impenetrable darkness and everlasting shame before the Son of Man. They would be violently driven from his presence, and the executioner's sword would remain visibly suspended before his face, in the midst of their suffering. And I heard it spoken plainly, "This is the fixed ordinance and the irrevocable judgment decreed for the mighty, for the kings, for the exalted, for all those who claimed possession of the earth, before the judgment seat of the Lord of Spirits." And then I saw other forms secretly hidden there, and I heard the voice of an angel say, "These are the angels who purposefully descended to the earth, who illicitly revealed what was hidden to the children of men, and thus seduced mankind into grievous sin." Enoch, Book 3, the Book of Noah, Chapter 1, Birth of Noah. After the passing of many days, my son Methuselah arranged a marriage for his own son, Lamech. She conceived and brought forth a son. But this child was anomalous, unlike any I had ever witnessed or heard described. His skin was intensely white, resembling fresh snow, yet suffused with the redness of a newly opened rose. The hair upon his head, his long, flowing locks, shone white as bleached wool. His eyes were startlingly beautiful, and when he opened them, light poured forth like the sudden rising of the sun. The entire dwelling brightened instantly, as if the sun itself had physically entered the room. And then, the infant performed an action that caused even the strongest men present to tremble in awe. While still being held by the midwife, he rose partially, opened his mouth and spoke a spontaneous blessing to the Lord of righteousness. When Lamech saw the infant, the terror that seized him was sharp and immediate, piercing his soul like a thrown spear. He fled immediately from the house, consumed by panic, and ran with desperate speed to the dwelling of his father, Methuselah. He cried out, "I have begotten a strange son, an anomaly unlike any of the children of men, resembling instead the celestial sons of the God of heaven. The child's eyes burn with the intensity of solar rays. His countenance shines with an unearthly glory, and I am certain he has not sprung from my lineage, but is a seed planted by the very angels themselves. I dread that a powerful wonder, a terrifying sign, is about to descend upon the earth." He implored Methuselah, "Go to Enoch, our ancient father, and learn the truth of this matter. His dwelling is now established among the angels." When Methuselah heard those fearful words, he undertook the arduous journey and traveled far away, to the very ends of the earth, for he had heard reports that I, Enoch, resided there. He cried out in his affliction, and I heard his voice echoing in the distant spaces. I came forth to him and greeted him, saying, "Here I am, my son. Speak plainly, why have you come to me?" He answered, trembling with urgency and great distress, "I have come because of a profound and consuming anxiety. A son has been born to Lamech, a child wholly unlike any other human born before. His body is whiter than the purest snow, yet redder than the deep crimson of a rose. His hair is whiter than virgin wool. His eyes resemble the piercing rays of the sun, and when he first opened them, the entire house was instantly illuminated by their light. Furthermore, he rose spontaneously in the hands of the midwife and immediately blessed the Lord of heaven. Lamech is utterly terrified. He believes the child bears the divine likeness of the angels. I have come to you so that you may reveal the complete truth. And I answered him plainly and without hesitation, because the Lord of Spirits had already shown me in visions the entirety of what was coming. I told him, "The Lord is about to perform an entirely new thing upon the earth, a great reshaping. I have witnessed this monumental event in a celestial vision." I explained that in the days of my father Jared, some of the watchers, the angels, transgressed the sacred command of the Lord. They defiantly united themselves with human women, sinned with them through lust, took them as wives, and produced a cursed progeny. From this corruption, monstrous giants arose, children of corruption, conceived not in the sacred alignment of the spirit but forged in the crude lusts of the flesh. Because of this monumental transgression, there will be a great and terrible punishment. The defiled earth will be thoroughly cleansed from every impurity. A cataclysmic destruction, a great washing, would soon sweep across the entire earth. A terrifying deluge, a flood unbound, would consume the world, and this devastation would endure for a full, terrible year. Then I spoke directly about the mysterious child. This son who has been born to you will remain on the earth. He will be preserved safely through the coming judgment. His 3 sons will also be saved with him when all the rest of mankind perishes in the waters. Go back and tell Lamech that the child is truly his own flesh and blood. Call his name Noah, for he shall be left to you and shall bring comfort, and through him the earth will be preserved and renewed after the destruction. And I told Methuselah something even heavier, for I had been permitted to read the sacred record of heaven. After the destruction, waves of unrighteousness will rise again. Generation after generation will succumb to transgression until finally a generation of perfect righteousness appears. Only then will transgression be utterly broken. Sin will finally pass away forever, and goodness and prosperity will come to dwell upon the earth. I reiterated my command clearly, so there could be no shadow of doubt. Go tell Lamech with certainty that the child is his legitimate son. This is no deception. Methuselah returned immediately to Lamech and declared this revelation. And the child was named Noah, for he would bring comfort to the earth after the terrifying devastation. Chapter 2. Calling Enoch. In those days, Noah looked upon the earth and saw it rapidly sinking into hopeless ruin. He could feel the destructive forces of judgment drawing dangerously near. So he rose, moved by the Spirit, and went to the ends of the earth, and he cried out to me, his great-grandfather, calling my name with a loud and embittered voice. "Hear me, hear me, hear me, Father." And I answered him, "Tell me the whole of what is happening on the earth. Why is the world shaking so violently? Why is it suffering such an evil plight? I pray this evil does not cause me to perish with it." Then the earth itself responded with a roar, indicating that a great commotion has risen. A divine voice was heard descending from heaven. Overwhelmed, I fell forward onto my face, and in that very moment of spiritual prostration, I was shown precisely what Noah needed to know. A command had gone out and been ratified from the very presence of the Lord of Spirits. Ruin and inescapable damnation were determined for those who dwelt on earth because they had pried open the forbidden vaults of knowledge, mastering the dark secrets whispered by the fallen angels, the sheer violence orchestrated by the Satans, and the potent, hidden powers never intended for human hands. They had searched out sorcery, the evil arts. They had learned the ways of witchcraft. They had crafted grotesque molten images, dedicating themselves to idolatry. They had pursued forbidden knowledge, delving even into the hidden metallurgy of metals, and the mysteries of what rises from the dust of the ground, and what flows from secret, subterranean fountains beneath the earth's crust. The Lord spoke directly to me and confirmed, "Because of their profound unrighteousness, judgment has been determined against them, and it will not be withheld forevermore. Because of the sophisticated sorceries they have searched out and learned with such zeal, the earth and those who dwell upon it will be utterly destroyed. And Noah was made to understand this chilling decree. They have been offered no avenue of repentance, because they willfully revealed what was meant to remain hidden. They are condemned. But Noah was recognized as different. The Lord of Spirits knew that Noah was pure, completely guiltless concerning these dark secrets. His name would be preserved and cherished among the holy ones. His seed would be appointed for immense honor, for kingship, and would serve as a future, countless fountain of righteousness that would bless the world. Then I was shown the angels of punishment, prepared and waiting to unleash the catastrophic powers of the waters beneath the earth, to bring forth the decreed judgment and destruction. But I also saw the divine mercy holding the judgment back momentarily. The Lord commanded the angels not to release the devastating waters yet, but to restrain them, for those specific angels held dominion over the powers of the deep abyss. After receiving these revelations, I withdrew from Noah and departed from my immediate presence among men. Chapter 3. Judgment of Angels. Then the commanding word of God came to Noah, and I was made to know every detail of what was spoken to him. Noah, your lot has come up before me without blame, a lot marked by divine love and unwavering uprightness. The appointed angels are currently working. When they complete their divine task, I will place my hand upon the process and preserve what is righteous. From you will come a resilient seed of life, ensuring that the earth will not remain desolate and without inhabitant. I will establish your seed forever. Those who are with you will spread abroad. Your lineage will not be unfruitful, but will multiply wondrously on the earth in the holy name of the Lord. Then I was shown the fierce judgment prepared for the angels who taught mankind unrighteousness. They would be violently imprisoned in the burning valley my grandfather had shown me long ages ago, a valley situated westward among mountains rich with gold, silver, iron, tin, and various soft metals. I beheld that valley, a place seized by ceaseless, violent convulsion. There, fire and water struggled together in a terrifying, coiling dance of judgment, the very ground convulsing, and the massive subterranean waters heaving. From that molten fire and violent upheaval rose the terrible, choking smell of sulfur. Beneath that land, the valley burned perpetually because it had become the chosen place of punishment for those angels who led mankind astray. Streams of fire ran through its channels, defining the paths of judgment, where these corrupted angels were punished for polluting the earth. And I was shown a terrifying paradox concerning those very waters. They would serve two distinct purposes. For the kings, the mighty men, and the exalted ones, the wealthy elite who dwell on earth, these waters would become a healing balm for the body. Yet, for the spirit, they would bring eternal punishment. Because their inner spirits were utterly full of lust and transgression, they would be punished even in their refreshed flesh. They openly denied the Lord of Spirits. They would look upon their punishment day by day, seeing the miraculous nature of the waters, and still refuse to believe in his holy name. And I was shown the profound power of a particular oath, an oath unlike any other in creation. It was mighty, sacred, and absolutely unbreakable, and the safekeeping of this oath was placed into the hand of the Archangel Michael. These are the deep secrets bound within that mighty oath, and they are strong beyond all human measure. By this oath, the very heavens were suspended and held in place before the world was ever formed, and they remain so forevermore. By this oath, the earth was definitively founded upon the chaotic waters, and from the hidden chambers of the mountains flow beautiful, pure waters from the beginning of creation and unto eternity. By this oath, the sea was set securely in place, and the fragile sand was appointed as its unbreakable boundary against the day of anger. The sea does not cross that appointed line. It has never crossed it from the creation of the world to everlasting. By the power of this sacred oath, the abyssal depths were secured, fixed immovably in their eternal stations, preventing them from ever drifting or shaking, bound from eternity to everlasting eternity. By this oath, the sun and the moon complete their carefully appointed course. They do not deviate. They do not rebel against their commands. They keep their ordinance from age to age. By this oath the stars complete their prescribed paths. He calls them each by name, and they answer him instantly, from eternity to eternity. This oath holds dominion and authority over them all. Through it, their paths are preserved. Their celestial courses do not collapse, and their cosmic order never fails. When these majestic things were revealed, there was immense joy among the heavenly host. They blessed, they glorified, and they extolled the Lord because the hidden name of the Son of Man had been revealed to them. Then I saw him, the Son of Man, seated upon the throne of his glory, and the full measure of judgment and executive power was given entirely into his hands. By his supreme authority, the sinners were made to pass away, utterly destroyed from the face of the earth, along with those wicked angels who had led the world astray. They were bound with unbreakable chains. They were imprisoned securely in their place of destruction, and their corrupt works vanished, wiped away and forgotten from the earth. From that moment forward, nothing corruptible would be permitted to remain, for the Son of Man had appeared. He had taken his seat on the throne of glory, and all manner of evil fled instantly before his presence. His word went forth, firm, unstoppable, eternal, strong before the Lord of spirits, and I knew with absolute certainty that what was sworn by this mighty oath would never, ever fail. Enoch, Book 4. The Kingdom of Heaven. Chapter 1. Enoch is taken. After these tremendous events, my name, Enoch, was lifted up and taken from among those who dwell on the earth and was raised to the presence of the Son of Man and to the Lord of spirits. While I was still alive in the flesh, I was carried upward on the swift chariots of the Spirit. And from that moment, my name vanished entirely from among the memory of men. I was no longer numbered with those who dwell upon the earth. I was set between the two powerful winds, between the north and the west, where the angels carefully measured out for me a dwelling place prepared exclusively for the righteous and the elect. There I saw the first fathers, the great righteous men who have dwelt in that blessed place from the very beginning of the world. Then my spirit was translated, receiving a mighty change, and I ascended into the heavens themselves. I saw the holy sons of God walking upon intense flames of fire, their brilliant garments white as light, their faces radiant like sunlit snow. Two mighty streams of fire flowed before me, shining brilliantly like pure hyacinth, and I instantly fell upon my face before the Lord of spirits, overwhelmed. Michael, the great archangel, took hold of my right hand, lifted me up gently, and led me into the profound secrets of righteousness. He showed me the ultimate ends of heaven, the hidden chambers of the stars, and the complex paths of the luminaries, where they proceed from at dawn and where they return at dusk, all passing before the face of the holy ones. My spirit was carried into the heaven of heavens, and there I saw a structure built entirely of gleaming crystal, encircled by tongues of living fire. A belt of living, unquenchable fire encircled the entire magnificent structure, and from its four cardinal points flowed molten streams of pure flame, eternally guarding the sanctity of the house. Around it stood the seraphim, the cherubim, and the ophanim, the watchers who never sleep and who tirelessly guard the throne of his glory. I saw angels beyond all counting, thousands upon thousands and 10,000 times 10,000, encircling the house in perfect, harmonious order. Then came Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Phanuel, and with them appeared the head of days, whose hair was white as the purest wool, and whose garments were beyond all power of description. I collapsed utterly before him. My physical body weakened. My spirit was profoundly transformed, and I cried out with power, blessing, glorifying, and extolling him. And the praise that went forth from my mouth was wholly pleasing before him. Then the head of days spoke, and he declared, "This is the Son of Man, born unto righteousness itself. Righteousness dwells permanently with him and never departs. Peace was proclaimed to me in the name of the world to come. The righteous shall walk in his illuminated ways. They shall dwell with him forever and never be separated from his presence. Their days will be long upon the earth, their path upright, and their peace unending in the name of the Lord of spirits forever and ever." Chapter 2. The luminaries. Then I was shown the intricate, immutable laws of the heavens. Uriel, the holy angel appointed as the overseer of the lights, revealed to me the exact order of the sun, the moon, and the stars as they were established from the beginning of time and as they will remain until the final new creation. I saw the sun rise precisely through appointed eastern gates and set through western portals, driven by the celestial wind and burning with intense fire, yet never wandering even slightly from its predetermined path. Through its course, the lengths of days and nights constantly change, not by random chance, but by divine command. I saw how the year is completed in perfect justice, without error, without delay. The sun does not advance nor fall behind even a single day in its course. I saw the moon, lesser in light, but utterly faithful in her course, receiving light from the sun in measured portions, waxing and waning according to appointed times and strict schedule. Her phases mark the months, the seasons, and all the sacred rhythms placed into the world. Nothing strays, nothing rushes ahead of time, nothing falls behind. The sun and stars complete the years exactly, totaling 364 days, without deviation forever. I saw the 12 precise gates of heaven from which the winds are released. Some winds bring forth blessed rain, dew, prosperity, and life. Others bring drought, destructive frost, judgment, and annihilation. Each wind is released at its exact appointed time and rigorously restrained when its work is complete. I saw the quarters of the earth, the east, the south, the west, and the north, each established with a sacred purpose. And in the north I saw a special place set apart, the garden of righteousness. I saw 7 great, unmoving mountains, 7 mighty rivers, vast seas, islands and boundaries, all measured, all restrained, all governed by the sovereign command. Even the winds obey. Uriel showed me that every star, every season, every storm, and every moment of silence moves according to divine law, not according to chaos. And I wrote it all down exactly as it was shown to me. Thus I was shown the kingdom of heaven, not as vague myth, not as poetic fancy, but as definite structure, inviolable order, and absolute authority. Nothing in heaven moves without specific command. Nothing on earth escapes divine measure. And I, Enoch, saw these things so that those who dwell on the earth may know this truth. The universe is not random. Judgment is not forgotten, and righteousness has a throne in the highest place. Chapter 3. Heavenly Tablets. In those pivotal days the angel Uriel answered and said to me, Behold, I have shown thee everything, Enoch, and I have fully revealed everything to thee, that thou shouldst see the sun and this moon, and the leaders of the stars of the heaven, and all those who turn them, their tasks, and their appointed times and departures. But know this, in the days of the sinners, the years shall be catastrophically shortened, and their seed shall be tardy and insufficient upon their lands and fields. All predictable things on the earth shall alter their normal patterns and shall not appear in their customary time. The life-giving rain shall be kept back, and the heaven shall withhold it entirely. The fruits of the earth shall be backward and shall not grow in their prescribed time, and the fruits of the trees shall also be withheld in their season. The moon shall alter her exact order and fail to appear at her time. In those specific days, the sun shall be seen, and he shall journey in the evening on the extremity of the great celestial chariot in the west, and shall shine far more brightly than accords with the established order of light. Many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the sacred order. These shall willfully alter their orbits and appointed tasks and fail to appear at the exact seasons prescribed to them. The whole perfect order of the stars shall become hopelessly concealed from the sinners, and the corrupt thoughts of those on the earth shall err violently concerning them. They shall be fundamentally altered from all their former ways. Yes, they shall err and even begin to take them for gods. Evil shall be greatly multiplied upon them, and severe punishment shall swiftly come upon them so as to destroy them all. And Uriel said unto me, Observe, Enoch, these heavenly tablets, and read what is written thereon, and mark every individual fact with diligence. So I observed the immense heavenly tablets, and I read everything written thereon, and I understood everything perfectly. I read the book of all the deeds of mankind and of all the children of flesh that shall be upon the earth, even to the remotest and final generations. And forthwith I blessed the great Lord, the mighty King of glory forever, because he has made all the magnificent works of the world. I extolled the Lord because of his deep patience, and I blessed him because of the children of men. And after that I said, Blessed is the man who dies while walking in righteousness and goodness, concerning whom there is no book of unrighteousness written in the heavens, and against whom no day of judgment shall be found. Then those 7 holy ones brought me down and placed me back on the earth before the door of my own house. And they said to me, Declare everything to thy son Methuselah, and show to all thy children that no flesh is righteous in the sight of the Lord, for he is their Creator and alone knows the measure of their weakness. 1 full year we will leave thee here with thy son, until thou hast given all thy commands, that thou mayest teach thy children and meticulously record for them, and testify to all thy children. And they confirmed, In the 2nd year they shall take thee from their midst entirely. Let thy heart be strong, for the good shall announce righteousness to the good. The righteous with the righteous shall greatly rejoice and shall offer congratulation to one another. But the sinners shall die inexorably with the sinners, and the apostate go down finally with the apostate. Those who practice righteousness shall die tragically on account of the deeds of men, and be taken away early on account of the doings of the godless. In those days they ceased to speak to me, and I came to my people, blessing the Lord of the world. Chapter 4. 1 year to record. And now, my son Methuselah, all these profound things I am recounting to thee and carefully writing down for thee. I have revealed to thee everything I was shown and given thee books concerning all these prophecies. So preserve, my son Methuselah, the precious books from thy father's hand and see that thou deliver them accurately to the succeeding generations of the world. I have given this wisdom to thee and to thy children, and thy children that shall be to thee, that they may in turn give it to their children for countless generations. This is a wisdom that passeth their mortal thought. Those who understand it shall not sleep soundly, but shall listen intently with the ear that they may learn this wisdom. It shall please those that eat thereof better than the finest food. Blessed are all the righteous. Blessed are all those who walk diligently in the way of righteousness and sin not as the sinners do. In the accurate reckoning of all their days in which the sun traverses the heaven, entering into and departing from the celestial portals for 30 days with the heads of thousands of the order of the stars, together with the 4 days which are intercalated, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 full days. Owing to these 4 days, men shall be at fault and not reckon them correctly in the whole calculation of the year. Yes, men shall persistently be at fault and not recognize them accurately, for they absolutely belong to the perfect reckoning of the year and are truly recorded forever. 1 day is in the 1st portal, and 1 in the 3rd, and 1 in the 4th, and 1 in the 6th. And the year is completed precisely in 364 days. And the divine account thereof is accurate, and the recorded reckoning thereof exact for the luminaries and months and festivals and years and days. All this has Uriel shown and revealed to me, Uriel, to whom the Lord of the whole creation of the world hath subjected the entire host of heaven. He has supreme power over night and day in the heaven to cause the light to give light to men, sun, moon, and stars, and all the powers of the heaven which revolve in their circular, controlled chariots. These are the strict orders of the stars which set in their places and in their seasons and festivals and months. And these are the names of those who lead them, who vigilantly watch that they enter at their appointed times, in their strict orders, in their seasons, in their months, in their periods of dominion, and in their positions. There are 4 principal leaders who divide the 4 great parts of the year, and they enter first. After them, the 12 leaders of the orders who divide the months follow. And for the 360 days, there are heads over thousands who divide the individual days. And for the 4 intercalary days, there are the leaders which sunder the 4 parts of the year. These heads over thousands are intercalated between leader and leader, each assigned a station. But their great leaders make the division. These are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year which are ordained: Melchiel, Halem, Melod, and Neril. And the names of those who lead them are Admiral, Ijassel, and Il. These 3 follow the leaders of the orders. And there is one that follows the 3 leaders of the orders which follow those leaders of stations that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the very beginning of the year, Melagil rises first and rules, who is also named Tammy and Sun. And all the days of his dominion whilst he bears rule are exactly 91 days. And these are the signs of the days to be clearly seen on earth in the days of his dominion. Heavy sweat, great heat, and profound calms. All the trees bear fruit. Their branches are heavy with the season's bounty, and rich, deep green leaves are produced upon every one of them. The harvest of wheat appears in its fullness. The rose unveils its magnificent flowers, and every vibrant blossom that comes forth in the open field bursts into life. But the trees of the desolate winter season become withered and stand dry, having surrendered their vital strength. And these are the names of the leaders appointed under him: Berel, Zelabel, and another, whose name was added as commander over 1,000, called Hilujasp. And the measure of the days of his dominion reached its inevitable end. The next ruler after him was Helamal, whom the people named the Shining Sun. And the totality of the days of his radiant light amounted to 91 cycles. And these are the clear, defining signs of days manifested upon the earth: a glowing, pervasive heat and a settling dryness. The trees ripen their fruits fully and yield all their fruits ready and perfected for the gathering. The sheep pair and become heavy with their offspring. All the fruits of the earth are carefully gathered in, and everything produced in the fields and secured within the winepress is brought to completion. These sacred processes take place only within the days of his governance. These are the names, the ranks, and the orders of those appointed chiefs of thousands: Delgil, Keel, Heel, and the name of the head of 1,000 which was joined to them, Aspheel. And the days of his dominion, too, found their appointed close. Chapter 5. The Prophetic Archives and Visions of Judgment. My son, Methuselah, draw near and attend closely to my words. What I am about to relate is not mere speculation, nor the phantom product of a restless mind, nor yet a simple fireside story spun to shorten the long night. These are the overwhelming visions that the Most High Sovereign placed directly before my eyes, sights I witnessed before I even knew the companionship of a wife. 2 profound dreams they were, distinct in form, yet bound irrevocably by the same catastrophic warning. The first vision, the collapse. It arrived in the days when my hand was still clumsy, just learning the measure of the scroll. I was resting within the dwelling of my venerable grandfather, Mahalil. The night was hushed, yet suddenly, without sound or sign, the vault of heaven itself began to fracture. I watched in that vision as the sky tore loose, collapsing like a colossal roof ripped from its ancient moorings. It was seized and hurled downward, accelerating toward the earth. When it struck, the world beneath it suffered an event no mortal man should ever behold. The solid earth yawned open and was instantly swallowed into an endless, dreadful abyss. Mountains were piled upon mountains, staggering upon the face of the deep, as though the whole foundation of creation had violently lost its equilibrium. Hills melted into hills. The trees, the lofty ancient trees, were brutally ripped from their roots, cast like broken javelins, and buried in the consuming darkness. And in that terrifying moment, a cry was wrenched from my spirit, a word I barely understood, yet which seared my throat like living flame. The earth is utterly destroyed. My grandfather woke me where I lay trembling near him. He saw the naked terror upon my face and asked, "Why do you cry out so fiercely, my son? Why is your lamentation so profound?" So I recounted everything to him. Every shuddering mountain, every crumbling hill, every mighty tree swallowed by the chasm. And Mahalil, heavy with the weight of years and the wisdom of the elders, looked at me with a fear that was not raw panic, but deep, somber recognition. He declared, "You have been witness to a fearful thing. This dream penetrates the very heart of the earth's secret sin. It is destined to sink and be consumed by a destruction of immeasurable magnitude." Then he spoke a command that still burns within my soul. "Rise, my son. Go forth and petition the Lord of glory. You are among the faithful. Implore him that a remnant may be spared, that he not extinguish the whole earth. For from the heights of heaven this judgment shall descend, and upon the face of the earth there awaits a ruin beyond measure." So I rose immediately, and I prayed, I implored, I wept, I begged, and I pleaded with the Most High. I then wrote down that petition for the generations that would follow us. Afterward, I sought the open air, gazing upon the world as it had been established in the beginning. The sun faithfully ascending in the east, the moon withdrawing in the west, and a few sentinel stars holding their stations. The earth was still standing, still drawing breath. I blessed the Lord of Judgment because, even in a world hurtling toward ruin, the sun still traversed the precise path appointed for it. I lifted my hands in earnest righteousness and spoke with the human tongue that God had gifted to men. I said, "Blessed are you, O Lord, King, great and mighty in your boundless majesty, Lord of the entire creation of heaven, King of kings, and God of the whole world. Your dominion is everlasting. The heavens are the seat of your throne. The earth is your dedicated footstool. You fashioned all things and you govern all things. Nothing is too formidable for your power. You see and you hear everything. No secret is hidden from your gaze. Yet now, the angels of your heavens have committed grievous trespass. And upon the flesh of men, your wrath rests and abides, awaiting the great day of judgment. Therefore I beg of you, preserve for me a posterity upon the earth. Do not destroy all flesh and render the earth utterly desolate without inhabitants. Do not enact an eternal destruction. Erase from the earth the flesh that has provoked your fury, but establish the seed of righteousness and moral uprightness as an everlasting line. Do not turn your face away from the fervent prayer of your devoted servant." That was the first vision. And then I saw a second dream, a vast, sweeping narrative that unfolded like a long chronicle of the world's entire history. "And I shall reveal to you this entire dream, my son." The second vision, the animals, the stars, and the deluge. "Before I took your mother, Edna, as my wife, I lay upon my sleeping couch, and the great vision unsealed itself. I beheld a majestic bull, white and imbued with strength, emerge from the earth. Then a heifer appeared. After her, 2 more bulls followed, one black as night and one the color of sacrifice, red. The black bull immediately attacked. He gored the red one violently and pursued him across the face of the earth until the red bull vanished from my sight entirely. The black bull grew immensely in power. The heifers remained with him, and swiftly, many oxmen were born from their union, offspring that bore the likeness of the black bull and obeyed his command. But the first cow, the heifer, was consumed by sorrow. She wandered the world, endlessly searching for the lost red one. She cried out with a lamentation so intense that the first bull, the white one, came to her, calmed her anguish, and her crying ceased. Then she conceived and bore yet another white bull, and after him came countless bulls and black cows. I watched that new white bull mature until he became a sovereign white bull, great and magnificent. And from him came forth many white bulls, multiplying like light upon light, following one another generation after generation. Then an event occurred that caused my spirit to tremble violently. I looked up at the heaven above, and a star detached and fell. It did not merely descend and disappear. It rose again, moved among the cattle, and began to feed as if it rightfully belonged there. Then came more stars, many of them, casting themselves down to join that first fallen star. They transformed, becoming bulls among the beasts, and grazed within the flock. But these were distinct from the righteous ones. They revealed themselves through obscene corruption and began to violate the cows. The cows became pregnant, and what they birthed was utterly monstrous. Elephants, camels, and asses, creatures of immense bulk, devastating weight, and sheer violence. The righteous oxen were paralyzed by fear. The earth itself shuddered beneath the tread of the hybrids. These monsters began to bite, to devour, to gore, and finally, to turn on one another until the entire world shook, and the earth cried aloud like a witness delivering testimony in a supreme court. And then I lifted my gaze once more. From heaven descended beings who appeared like men, white, radiant, severe, and wholly unmoved by the chaos. For came first, and with them 3 more. The 3 who arrived last seized me by the hand, as if I were a child being rescued from a house engulfed in fire, and they lifted me far away from the generations of the earth. They set me upon a monumental high place and showed me a vast tower ascending above the world. And one of them commanded me, "Remain here until you have witnessed every consequence that befalls these elephants, camels and asses, the stars that sinned, and the faithful oxen, all of it." And I watched as the judgment commenced. One of the four seized the first fallen star, bound it securely, hand and foot, and cast it into an abyss, narrow, impossibly deep, horrible, and eternally dark. Another angel drew a great sword and delivered it into the hands of the elephants, camels, and asses. And they immediately began to slaughter one another until the earth quaked as though its foundations were shattering. Then the others gathered the great stars, those who had hopelessly corrupted themselves, bound them hand and foot, and hurled them into the fiery abyss of the earth. But then the vision pivoted. One of the four approached the white bull and spoke to him a secret knowledge, yet without causing him terror. The bull transformed into a man, and that man proceeded to build a magnificent vessel, a massive ark, and he found refuge upon it. 3 bulls entered with him, one purely white, one red as fresh blood, and one black. The vessel was sealed tight. Then I looked up and saw a high roof containing 7 torrential streams of water. They poured down into a vast enclosure. Fountains of the deep broke open from beneath the earth, and the water began to rise. Darkness accompanied it. Mist, a surging flood that climbed higher than the enclosure itself until it flowed over the top and covered the entire earth. Everything inside that great enclosure, the cattle, the wild beasts, the monstrous hybrid creatures, was instantly swallowed. They sank. They vanished into the crushing depths. Only the vessel of the righteous floated serenely above the chaos. Eventually the torrents were withdrawn. The chasms of the earth were leveled, and other abysses opened, drinking the waters back down. The dry ground reappeared. Light returned. The man emerged from the vessel, the white bull who had become a man, and the 3 bulls with him. Then the white one separated himself from the others, and from that moment, the world filled with new species of creatures. Lions, tigers, predatory wolves, scavenging dogs, hyenas, savage boars, sly foxes, and birds of prey, multiplying generation after generation. And amidst them, a white bull was born again. From there, the vision continued its unfolding, like a long, undeniable road winding through history. The sheep multiplied, and the wolves cruelly oppressed them. The Lord of the sheep descended. A mighty sea was split. The wolves drowned. The sheep wandered. Leaders rose and fell. A sacred house was built for the Lord. A tower was raised high. Then the sheep strayed once more, and ferocious beasts devoured them. I cried out in agony because I could discern the relentless pattern. Rebellion, followed by judgment, followed by merciful intervention, followed tragically by rebellion again. I saw 70 shepherds appointed over the sheep, and many of them abused the flock, executing a destruction far greater than what was divinely commanded. I saw records maintained, written upon the heavenly tablets, sealed, and solemnly read before the Lord of the sheep. I saw a sword granted to the righteous sheep, and the beasts of prey fled in terror. I saw the earth split open under the Lord's incandescent wrath, swallowing the predators whole. Then I saw a glorious throne established in a pleasant land. A new house was constructed, infinitely greater and loftier than the first, and the righteous flock gathered within it. And I saw something that felt like the absolute cessation of sorrow. The sheep were transformed, all of them pure white, their wool shining clean, and their eyes were fully opened. Every single one of them possessed perfect sight. There was not one among them who did not see the truth. Then a magnificent white bull was born, equipped with great, formidable horns, and all beasts and birds feared him utterly. And finally, the generations were ultimately transformed until they, too, became white bulls, and I lay down to rest among them. Then I awoke, and when I opened my eyes in the real world, my son, I wept bitterly. I blessed the Lord of righteousness and gave him all the glory. But my tears would not be stanched, for I had witnessed what must inevitably be fulfilled. Everything, every action, every deed, was revealed to me in its precise and terrifying order. And that night the memory of the first dream surged back to me, and I wept even more profusely, because I had seen the vision. Enoch, Book 5, The Epistle of Enoch, Chapter 1, The Divine Counsel of Enoch. And now, my cherished son, Methuselah, summon to my presence all your brothers, and gather together all the sons born of your mother. For the sacred word compels me, and the spirit of prophecy has been poured out upon me in full measure, that I may reveal to you all that shall befall you and your descendants throughout all ages. Thereupon, Methuselah departed and swiftly summoned all his brothers and assembled his kinfolk. And Enoch spoke to all the children of righteousness, saying, Hearken well, O sons of Enoch, to the complete words of your father, and listen attentively to the solemn voice that issues from my mouth. For I stand here to exhort you, and I declare unto you, my beloved, cultivate uprightness with all your being, and walk ceaselessly within its boundaries. Never draw near to righteousness with a heart divided or duplicitous, and never associate your spirit with those whose hearts are double. Instead, walk diligently in true righteousness, my sons, and it shall act as your unerring guide upon all good paths, and righteousness itself shall be your eternal companion. For I possess the dreadful knowledge that violence is decreed to swell upon the earth, and a great, inescapable chastisement must be executed against the corruption of the world, ensuring that all unrighteousness finally meets its end. Yes, it shall be severed completely from its roots, and its entire wicked structure shall be utterly pulverized. But beware, unrighteousness shall be consummated on the earth a second time. And all the deeds born of unrighteousness, violence, and transgression shall prevail in a degree doubled from the first outbreak. And when sin and iniquity and blasphemy and violence, and apostasy and uncleanness have multiplied, a great, overwhelming chastisement shall descend from heaven upon all those who practice them. And the Holy Lord shall emerge, armed with wrath and righteous discipline, to execute judgment upon the entire earth. In those appointed days, violence shall be permanently cut off from its very roots, and the roots of unrighteousness, together with all deceit, shall be annihilated from beneath the expanse of heaven. All the profane idols of the heathen nations shall be forsaken. Their temples shall be consumed by fire, and they shall be removed from the face of the whole earth. They shall be cast into the judgment of consuming fire, and shall perish forever in wrath and grievous retribution. And the righteous shall be awakened from their long sleep, and wisdom shall rise and be bestowed upon them as a crown. And after the roots of unrighteousness are cleanly severed, the sinners shall be destroyed by the sword of justice, and the blasphemers shall be eliminated from every dwelling place. Those who conspire for violence and those who commit open blasphemy shall perish by the swift blade. And now, I instruct you, my sons, and reveal to you the paths of righteousness and the opposing paths of violence. Yes, I will lay them bare before you once more, so that you may know precisely what is destined to occur. And now, heed me closely, my sons, and tread only the paths of righteousness, and never walk the paths of violence. For all who traverse the road of unrighteousness shall perish eternally. Chapter 2. The Unveiled Wisdom of Enoch. This complete doctrine of profound wisdom was indeed written by Enoch, a man universally praised by all generations and appointed as a prophetic judge of the whole earth, intended for all my children who shall take their dwelling upon the ground, and for the future generations who shall diligently adhere to uprightness and peace. Let not your spirit be troubled on account of the turmoil of the passing times. For the Holy and Great One has meticulously ordained days for the fulfillment of all things. The righteous soul shall awaken from its sleep. It shall arise and walk firmly in the paths of righteousness, and its entire course and conversation shall be immersed in eternal goodness and grace. He will show deep favor to the righteous and grant them unending uprightness. He will empower them so that they dwell eternally with goodness and immutable righteousness, and they shall walk perpetually in eternal light. Sin, conversely, shall perish and fade into everlasting darkness, and shall never be perceived from that day forth, forevermore. And following this revelation, Enoch both presented and began to recount from the sacred books. And Enoch proclaimed, concerning the children of righteousness, and concerning the elect of the world, and concerning the divine planting of uprightness, I shall speak these truths. Yes, I, Enoch, shall declare them unto you, my sons, according to what was revealed to me in the celestial vision, and what I have comprehended through the living word of the holy angels, and what I have studied from the heavenly tablets. And Enoch proceeded to recount from the books, saying, I was born the 7th generation in the 1st week, while judgment and fundamental righteousness still held sway. And after me, in the 2nd week, a massive wave of wickedness shall surge, and deceit shall have firmly sprung up. And in that time there shall be the first culmination, the first end, and in it one man shall be preserved alive. And after that period is concluded, unrighteousness shall grow unchecked. A fixed law shall be established specifically for the instruction of sinners. And following that, in the 3rd week at its conclusion, a man shall be singled out and elected as the plant of righteous judgment, and his progeny shall become the established plant of enduring righteousness forevermore. And after that, in the 4th week at its close, the profound visions of the holy and righteous shall be visibly manifested. A law shall be given for all subsequent generations, and a sacred sanctuary shall be established for them. And after that, in the 5th week at its termination, the house of glory and dominion shall be erected, enduring eternally. And after that, in the 6th week, all who inhabit it shall suffer spiritual blindness, and the hearts of all men shall wickedly abandon divine wisdom. And in that week, a man shall ascend to heaven, and at its close, the house of dominion shall be scorched with fire, and the entire lineage of the chosen root shall be scattered far and wide. And after that, in the 7th week, a generation defined by apostasy shall arise. Their wicked deeds shall be many, and all their actions shall be apostate. And at its close, the elect righteous of the eternal plant of righteousness shall be chosen, destined to receive 7-fold instruction concerning the totality of his creation. For who among all the children of men is truly capable of hearing the thunderous voice of the Holy One without being utterly overwhelmed? And who possesses the capacity to fully conceive his thoughts? And who can behold the entirety of the works of heaven? And how can there possibly be one who can gaze upon the heavens and fully grasp the things held therein? Or see a soul or a spirit and accurately describe its nature? Or ascend to the heights and see all their endless boundaries? And now I declare unto you, my sons, embrace righteousness and walk steadfastly within it, for the paths of righteousness are eternally worthy of acceptance. But the opposing paths of unrighteousness shall be suddenly destroyed and utterly vanish. And now I enjoin you, O righteous ones, do not walk the ways of profound wickedness, nor the paths that lead to death, and never draw near to them, lest you yourselves be destroyed. Instead, seek out and choose for yourselves genuine righteousness and a life elected by God, and walk eternally in the paths of peace, and you shall live and you shall prosper. Chapter 3. The condemnation of the unrighteous. Believe this truth, O righteous ones, that the wicked sinners will be covered in insurmountable shame, and they shall perish utterly on the ordained day of unrighteousness. Let this be deeply known unto you. The Most High keeps relentless count of your destruction, and the glorious angels of heaven shall justly rejoice over your demise. What strategy will you employ, O sinners? And to what refuge will you flee on that crushing day of judgment, when you hear the powerful voice of the prayer of the righteous ascending? Yes, you shall suffer the exact same fate as those against whom this prophetic word shall stand as immutable testimony. You have willingly chosen to be companions of sinners. And in those terrible days, the fervent prayer of the righteous shall finally reach the Lord. Then, for you, the days of your judgment shall arrive with crushing finality. All the countless records of your unrighteous deeds shall be read aloud before the Great and Holy One, and your faces shall be permanently covered with shame. He will utterly reject every work, every foundation, which was grounded upon unrighteousness. Woe unto you, O sinners, you who dwell heedlessly upon the mid-ocean and upon the fertile dry land, whose very remembrance is registered as evil against you in the heavens. Woe unto you who amass silver and gold through acts of wickedness and say in your arrogance, we have become fabulously rich with boundless wealth, we have secure possessions, and we have acquired everything our hearts desired. Now let us indulge in whatever actions we pleased. For we have hoarded silver, and many servants tend to our houses, and our massive granaries overflow as if filled with inexhaustible water. Yes, and like water, your pervasive lies shall swiftly drain away. For your ill-gotten riches shall not long remain, but shall ascend speedily and vanish from you, because you acquired every measure of it through unrighteousness, and you shall be surrendered entirely to an eternal curse. And now I swear this terrible oath unto both the wise and the foolish alike. You shall experience a multitude of terrible torments upon the earth. For you men have chosen to adorn yourselves with more ostentation than a woman, and you wear colored garments more frivolous than a virgin. In displays of royalty, in sheer grandeur, in grasping for earthly power, and in accumulating silver and gold, and in wearing purple, and in dazzling splendor, and in excessive food, they shall be poured out and wasted like spilled water. Therefore they shall find themselves utterly deficient in divine doctrine and true wisdom, and they shall perish by those very things, together with their possessions, and with all their superficial glory and their empty splendor. Their spirits, wrapped in shame and destined for slaughter and great destitution, shall be cast into the raging furnace of eternal fire. I have sworn unto you, O sinners, this truth. Just as a mountain cannot become a slave, and a mighty hill cannot become the humble handmaid of a woman, so too, sin was not inherently sent upon the earth. But man, through his own perverse will, has brought it into existence. And under a great, unyielding curse shall those fall who commit it. Likewise, barrenness was not a curse inherently given to the woman, but on account of the deeds committed by her own hands, she tragically dies without children. I have sworn unto you, O sinners, by the Holy Great One himself, that all your evil deeds are laid bare and revealed in the heavens. None of your deeds of harsh oppression are covered or hidden from his sight. And do not dare to imagine in your spirit, nor murmur in your treacherous heart, that you do not know this, and that you do not see this truth. Every single sin is meticulously recorded every day in heaven in the profound presence of the Most High. From this moment onward, you know that all the cruelty and oppression with which you afflict others is written down, day by agonizing day, until the destined day of your judgment. Woe to you, O ye! O you simpletons, you willfully blind fools! Your ruin shall be wrought entirely by the very folly you embrace. You have scorned the counsel of the enlightened, and thus prosperity and divine favor shall be irrevocably withdrawn from your lives. Understand this truth clearly. You stand already appointed and prepared for the harrowing day of utter destruction. Sinners, abandon all vain hopes of prolonged existence. You are destined to pass away and be extinguished, for your souls possess no coinage of redemption to offer. You are reserved for the fiery theater of the great judgment, a day steeped in tribulation and profound, agonizing shame that shall cling eternally to your departing spirits. Woe, bitter woe, upon you whose hearts are petrified with obstinance, who practice your dark iniquities and consume the forbidden lifeblood. By what right do you enjoy these bountiful pleasures, the rich foods, the quenching drinks, the satisfaction of repletion? All this sustenance and these blessings spring forth solely from the inexhaustible abundance the Lord Most High has lavishly spread across the face of the earth. Because you defile his gifts, tranquility shall never be found in your dwellings. Wherefore do you cling to the expectation of future good fortune? Know this assuredly, you shall be violently delivered into the stern hands of the righteous, those whom you oppressed. They shall make swift judgment, severing your necks and executing you without the smallest whisper of compassion. Woe to those among you who found dark satisfaction in the torments and suffering of the upright, for when you fall, the ground shall refuse to receive you. No sacred trench shall be carved out for your unworthy resting place. Woe to you who hold the words of the righteous in contempt, for the light of life shall offer you no remaining hope. Woe to the scribes and authors who commit deceitful and impious words to the scroll. They pen their calculated falsehoods so that others might imbibe the venom, leading men to act profanely against their neighbors. For this transgression against truth and fellowship, there shall be no solace for them, but instead, an abrupt, consuming annihilation. Woe to you who practice widespread impiety, who glory in falsehoods and elevate them as virtues. You shall utterly perish, and the gift of a blessed existence shall not be yours. Woe to those who maliciously twist the words of uprightness, who violate the eternal and sacred law, transforming themselves from what they were intended to be into corrupted, vile sinners. They shall be perpetually crushed underfoot upon the earth. In those appointed days, you, the righteous, must stand vigilant and prepared to lift your supplications, presenting them as an enduring memorial before the hosts of angels. Let these prayers be a potent testimony, allowing the heavenly messengers to lay bare the multitude of sins committed by the wicked, holding them as an indictment perpetually before the countenance of the Most High. In those days, the nations of the earth shall be violently stirred up, and the tribes and families of the nations shall rise up in madness on the decisive day of destruction. And behold, in that era, even the impoverished shall be driven mad by terror. Mothers and fathers shall seize their children only to cast them away, abandoning them utterly to their fate. The innocents shall perish through the desperate cruelty of their own parents. Indeed, they shall desert the very sucklings at their breast, never looking back, stripped of all natural affection or pity for their most beloved progeny. And again, I swear unto you, ye sinners, that sin itself is being reserved and prepared for a day characterized by relentless, unceasing bloodshed. And as for those who bow down and lavish worship upon senseless stones and graven representations, idols crafted from gleaming gold, base silver, crude wood, and common clay, and those who consort with the foul, impure spirits and the malefic demons, offering homage to every kind of idol contrary to divine knowledge, they shall receive no measure of salvation, nor aid, nor comfort from these vain fabrications. They shall become utterly godless by reason of the sheer folly and blindness of their own hearts. Their spiritual eyes shall be darkened through the terror residing in their hearts, and by the deceptive apparitions presented in their feverish dreams. Through these illusions, they shall become profane and consumed by fear, for they have executed all their deeds in profound falsehood and have placed their trust in inert stone. Therefore, in a single terrifying instant they shall be consumed. But during that momentous time, thrice blessed shall be all who wholeheartedly receive the divine utterances of wisdom, who grasp their profound meanings, and who diligently keep to the ancient paths laid down by the Most High. Blessed are those who walk steadfastly in the way of his perfect righteousness, refusing to be corrupted by the contagion of the godless, for they alone shall find refuge and be eternally saved. Woe to you who cultivate and spread wickedness among your neighbors, for you shall be violently cut off and eternally confined in Sheol. Woe to you who employ deceitful and false measurements in trade, and who sow bitterness and malice throughout the land, for the consequence of these actions shall be your complete and utter consumption. Woe upon you who erect your palatial dwellings upon the tortured backs and grievous toil of your neighbors. Every timber, every brick, and every foundation stone of your opulent houses is cemented with the very substance of sin. I proclaim this decree. Everlasting unrest shall plague your conscience, and genuine peace shall elude you forevermore. Woe to them who cast aside the due measure and the sacred, eternal heritage granted by their fathers, and whose corrupted souls turn to chase after idols, for true rest shall be denied them. Woe to those dedicated to pervasive unrighteousness, who actively support tyranny and oppression, even slaying their fellows up until the eve of the great judgment. The Almighty shall forcibly shatter your vaunted glory, inflicting profound agony upon your very hearts, and shall awaken his righteous, fierce indignation to utterly destroy you all by the edge of the avenging sword. And all the holy ones and all the righteous shall hold your sins in perpetual remembrance. And in those horrifying days, fathers shall be struck down alongside their sons in the same location, and brothers shall fall in mutual slaughter, until the very streams of the earth flow violently, thick with their blood. For a man shall not hesitate to raise his hand against his own sons and his grandsons, and the sinner shall show no restraint against his honored brother. From the first light of dawn until the setting of the sun, they shall endlessly slaughter one another. The war horse shall wade breast-deep through the overflowing torrents of the sinner's blood, and the wheels of the chariots shall be submerged entirely up to their axles in the crimson tide. In those days, the ministering angels shall descend into the secret, hidden places and gather together into a single congregation. All those fallen beings who instigated and brought sin into the world shall be assembled, And the Most High shall stand forth upon that day of reckoning to execute a sweeping, great judgment among the multitude of sinners. And over all the righteous and the holy, he will commission sacred guardians chosen from the highest ranks of the holy angels, to protect them with the utmost vigilance, as the apple of his eye, until he has entirely eradicated all wickedness and all sin. And though the righteous sleep a long slumber in the grave, they need harbor no fear. Then shall the mortal children of earth witness the wise dwelling in perpetual security, and shall fully comprehend all the cryptic words of this divine volume, recognizing that their accumulated worldly treasures possess absolutely no power to deliver them from the seismic overthrow wrought by their countless sins. Woe to you sinners on the day of the most severe anguish, you who maliciously afflict the righteous and subject them to the burning fire. You shall receive a recompense meted out precisely according to the magnitude of your oppressive works. Woe to you, whose hearts are stiff-necked and obstinate, who watch the hours pass solely to devise new forms of wickedness. Therefore, paralyzing terror shall suddenly descend upon you, and there shall be no soul found capable of rendering aid. Woe to you, ye sinners, because of the damning words uttered by your mouths, and because of the vile deeds performed by your hands, which your persistent godlessness has brought forth, in furious, blazing flames, burning worse than any natural fire, shall you be consumed. And now be warned. The Creator shall call upon the very angels in heaven, the sun in its celestial orbit, the solitary moon, and the silent myriad stars to bear witness and render testimony concerning the nature of your terrestrial sins. Because you executed unrighteous judgment upon the righteous here on earth, he will summon every cloud and mist, every drop of dew and rain, to testify against you. For all these elements shall be consciously restrained from descending upon your lands because of your offenses, and they shall hold your sins perpetually in remembrance. And now you foolishly offer gold and silver bribes, attempting to compel the rain to descend upon you, or the dew to moisten your barren fields. When the chilling frost and snow, with their paralyzing coldness, and all the sweeping snowstorms, carrying the totality of their devastating plagues, descend upon you in those dark days, you shall lack the power to stand before them. Chapter 4. The deep wisdom uttered by Enoch. Observe the heaven, O children of the heavens. Fix your contemplation upon the celestial vault. Consider the magnitude of every creation wrought by the Most High, and let reverent awe fill your hearts. Commit no transgression in his all-seeing presence. If he chooses to seal the windows of heaven, restraining the rain and the nourishing dew from descending upon the earth solely on account of your wickedness, what possible action could you take then? And if he sends the fullness of his burning wrath upon you because of your deeds, you shall find no avenue, no recourse, to submit a humble plea to him. For you have spoken arrogant, insolent declarations that challenged the purity of his righteousness. Because of this high blasphemy, peace shall forever be denied to your souls. And do you not behold the mariners on their vessels, how their ships are violently tossed and battered by the monstrous waves, how they are shaken uncontrollably by the raging winds, and are plunged into extreme peril? They are consumed by fear because all their precious possessions are hurled into the abyss of the sea with them. They harbor dark forebodings in their hearts, fearing that the great sea will swallow them whole and that they shall perish eternally within its depths. Is not the entirety of the vast, churning sea, all its mighty waters, and all its restless movements, the perfect work of the Most High? Has he not, by his sovereign command, established absolute limits to its dominion, confining its rage with mere grains of sand? At the sheer sound of his divine rebuke, the ocean recoils in terror, receding and drying up, causing all its myriad fish and every creature dwelling within to perish instantly. Yet you, the persistent sinners on the face of this earth, show him no fear at all. Has he not fashioned the heavens and the earth, and every single thing contained therein? Who is it that has granted the gift of understanding and wisdom to everything that moves upon the earth and within the depths of the sea? The sailors on their ships fear the tempestuous sea, yet the sinners of the world refuse to fear the Most High. In those approaching days, when he unleashes a grievous, scorching fire upon you, where will you seek refuge, and where will you possibly discover deliverance? And when he launches forth the force of his divine word against you, shall you not be struck with terror and trembling? All the celestial luminaries shall recoil in great fear, and the entire earth shall be gripped by fright, shaking and deeply alarmed. And all the holy angels shall execute their sovereign commands, and they themselves shall seek to hide from the overpowering presence of the great glory. The children of earth shall tremble and quake, and you, ye sinners, shall be eternally cursed, and you shall possess no peace. Let no fear possess you, O souls of the righteous. Maintain your hope, you who have closed your eyes in perfect righteousness. Do not grieve, even if your spirit, afflicted by earthly pains, has momentarily descended into the shades of Sheol, and though in your mortal life your physical body did not experience the goodness and honor commensurate with your virtue. Instead, wait patiently for the day when judgment is executed upon the sinners, and for the day of the terrible cursing and chastisement. And yet, when you die, the arrogant sinners speak over you, saying, As we die, so too do the righteous die. And what discernible benefit have they reaped from their virtuous deeds? Behold, just like us, they pass away in grief and darkness. What distinguishing advantage did they possess over us? From this moment onward we are equal. What reward shall they receive? And what eternal sights shall they be granted to see? Behold, they too have died, and from henceforth forever they shall gaze upon no light. I tell you, ye hypocritical sinners, you were content only to eat and to drink and to rob and to sin without restraint, stripping men naked, accumulating ill-gotten wealth, and enjoying your fleeting days of ease. Have you truly observed the righteous, and how their final end unfolds? Know this, no manner of violence or deceit was ever found within them up until their death. Nevertheless, they perished and became as though they had never existed, and their spirits descended into Sheol in tribulation. Chapter 5. The Secret Wisdom of Enoch. Behold, another sacred testament which Enoch inscribed for his beloved son, Methuselah, and for all generations who shall follow him and faithfully uphold the sacred law during the appointed period of the final days. You who have performed deeds of goodness must patiently await those days until a definite end is made of those who cultivate evil, and an end is made of the oppressive might of the transgressors. Indeed, you must wait until the stain of sin has entirely passed away. For the names of the wicked shall be irrevocably erased from the book of life and from the sacred scrolls, and their progeny shall be destroyed forevermore. Their spirits shall be slaughtered, and they shall scream and utter lamentations in a location that is a chaotic wilderness, and in the consuming fire shall they burn, for no solid earth exists there. And there, before my eyes, I beheld a phenomenon resembling an invisible, immeasurable cloud. So deep was its abyss that my sight could not penetrate beyond its edges. Within this chasm, I saw a roaring flame of fire, burning with ferocious brilliance, and enormous forms, like shining, incandescent mountains, that circled and swept across the void, rushing violently to and fro. And I addressed one of the holy angels who accompanied me, asking him, What is this radiant spectacle? For it is not the glorious heaven, but only the fierce flame of a blazing fire, mingled with the sound of deep weeping, crying, lamentation, and strong, pervasive pain. And he replied unto me, This terrible place which you behold is where the spirits of sinners, blasphemers, and workers of profound wickedness are violently cast, of those who perverted everything that the Lord has spoken through the mouths of the prophets concerning future events. For some of these prophecies are already written and inscribed upon the tablets above in the heaven, in order that the angels may read them and know that which shall befall the sinners, and also the spirits of the humble, and of those who have afflicted their mortal bodies and been justly recompensed by God. This is also the fate of those who have been shamed and tormented by wicked men, those who loved God but loved neither gold nor silver, nor any of the transient good things found in the world, but instead surrendered their bodies to torture. From the moment they came into existence, they longed not after mere earthly nourishment, but regarded all mortal life as a fleeting breath, living accordingly. And the Lord tested them severely, and their spirits were found to be pure, so that they might forever bless his holy name. And all the magnificent blessings destined for them I have recounted in these very books. And he has assigned them their glorious recompense, because they were found to be those who loved the divine light of heaven more than their temporary lives in this world. And though they were trodden underfoot by wicked men, experiencing vile abuse and reviling from them, and were put to deep shame, yet they consistently blessed me. And now, I will summon the spirits of the good who belong to the luminous generation of light. And I will transform those who were born in the terrestrial darkness, who in their mortal flesh were not recompensed with the honor that their faithfulness truly deserved. And I will bring forth in shining light those who have loved my holy name. And I will seat each one upon the throne of his earned honor. And they shall be resplendent for times without number. For righteousness is the eternal nature of God's judgment. For to the faithful, he will grant perfect faithfulness in the eternal habitation of upright paths. And they shall see those who were born in darkness being led into perpetual gloom, while the righteous shall be resplendent in glory, and the sinners shall cry aloud in agony, seeing them shining brightly. And the righteous indeed will go where days and seasons are eternally prescribed for them. Chapter 6. The final revelation of Enoch. Hear me, for I swear this sacred oath unto you. In the lofty halls of heaven, the angels remember your faithfulness and plead your cause favorably before the radiant glory of the Almighty. Your names are permanently inscribed in the celestial registry, standing perpetually before the awe-inspiring glory of the Great One. Be hopeful, for a short time you were put to shame through cruel affliction and physical suffering. But now, ye shall shine forth as the very lights of heaven. Ye shall shine, and ye shall be seen, and the eternal portals of heaven shall be opened wide to you. And in your earnest cry, cry out for judgment, and it shall manifest to you. For all the tribulation you endured shall be visited upon the malevolent rulers, and upon all those who assisted the oppressors who plundered you. Be hopeful, and cast not away your hopes, for ye shall experience a joy as profound and vast as that of the angels of heaven. What solemn duties shall you be required to perform? You shall not have to hide yourselves on the dreadful day of the great judgment, and you shall not be found standing among the sinners. And the eternal, terrifying judgment shall be far removed from you for all the generations of the world. And now, fear not, ye righteous, when you observe the sinners accumulating strength and prospering in their destructive ways. Be not companions with them, but keep a vast distance from their deeds of violence. For ye shall become cherished companions of the hosts of heaven. And although the arrogant sinners claim, all our sins shall not be searched out and be written down, nevertheless, the angels shall meticulously record all your sins every single day. And now, I reveal this truth unto you, that light and darkness, day and night, are constant witnesses to all your sins. Be not godless in the silent chambers of your hearts, and do not lie, nor alter the sacred words of uprightness, nor charge the words of the Holy Great One with lying, nor place your trust in your idols. For all your calculated falsehoods and all your deliberate godlessness lead, not to eventual righteousness, but to grievous and monumental sin. And now I know this profound mystery, that sinners will attempt to alter and wickedly pervert the words of righteousness in manifold ways. They will speak profane words and lie, and practice great deceits, and transcribe books filled with their own corrupt doctrine. But when they eventually write down truthfully all my words in their varying languages, and do not change or diminish from my original words, but write them all down accurately, all that I first testified concerning them, then I know another glorious mystery, that books containing true wisdom will be granted to the righteous and the truly wise to become a source of immense joy and upright guidance, and of great wisdom. And to them shall the books be delivered, and they shall believe in their truth, and rejoice greatly over them. And then shall all the righteous who have been led thereby upon all the paths of uprightness be perfectly recompensed. In those days, the Lord commanded that the angels be summoned to testify to the children of earth concerning their wisdom. Show unto them, he commanded. For ye are their guides, and a recompense over the whole earth. For I and my Son will be eternally united with them in the paths of uprightness throughout their lives. And ye shall have peace. Rejoice, ye children of uprightness.